Hey wrestling fans, here we are for another year with Glenn doing our preview for District 1 Wrestling. Glenn, so what are your what are your thoughts? Here we are, we're a week in, we're a week later than last year, but based upon what you saw, what you covered in the preseason, what are your takeaways so far?
Well, I'm really excited. I got to see the Bear Duels this past weekend with Mike and saw some great wrestling up there. Have not been there for that tournament. I thought it was one of the most outstanding dual meet tournaments at the start of a season at any time. And obviously, I'm pretty excited about District 1 Wrestling. We saw probably four of the top 10 teams there. I'm throwing Garnet Valley in there with Boyertown, Owen J. Roberts, and Council Rock North. I mean, they were just outstanding matches. They wrestled each other. And I'm excited about District 1 Wrestling, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, in years past, we talk about numbers and returning qualifiers and returning medalists, and the numbers are way up this year compared to last year. Last year, we're talking about 25 returning state qualifiers and 5 medalists. This year, we're talking 50 returning state qualifiers with 12 medalists, including a state champ. There's a lot to be excited about right now in District 1, more so than in years past. Yeah,
and especially the way these guys, we spread out from 106 all the way up to the upper weights, and obviously with the returning state champion Hunter Kaka, with a chance to be a 3-time state champion. It's pretty exciting for District 1.
Yeah, so tonight we're going to go through a lot of video. We have, again, more than ever, we got a ton of footage this preseason.
Maybe too much.
Maybe. It might be our downfall. But I think we got in touch with 31 different coaches within the district, just about over half. Some AA this year. Tons of wrestlers as well. Probably almost a wrestler from every school that had a coach represented in our videos. We got outlooks for the team, outlooks for individuals. We have opinions on the new postseason format, which we're going to talk about. I know from a personal standpoint, I'm excited about it. I know it's mixed reviews. I do want to see how it factors out this year, going with the district tournament or larger district tournament, or the sections, as they do call it in other parts of the state.
Mike named them sections.
Yeah.
They were super districts until Mike got involved.
Yeah, and that term has grown on me because it's kind of how everyone else does it. So we have a ton of footage, ton of stuff to get to, and we're going to get right into a lot of the coaches' outlooks and their personal expectations for their team coming up this year.
Let it roll.
I got big expectations for them. We did a lot of work this summer. 3 returning state qualifiers. A lot of my mid-level guys who were necessarily in the lineup last year, did a lot of work this summer, did a lot of tournaments, put in the work. So the expectations here are fairly high. Well, I got some lineage. I have a next generation Wilson, Billy Wilson at 106, Brett Patton, another generation at 106, and then Killian Delaney's brother, Palmer Delaney, and I have a very high hope for him.
I'm really pleased with our team this year. We're having a lot of fun, and I think this year's team is going to be very consistent in our lineup. Just one good kid after the next. I'm really pleased with how we're shaping out in our lineup and practicing really hard right now. Yeah, there's 2 freshmen who are really exciting me in the room right now. Alan Alexander and David Kaiser. I'm really excited to see what their future holds in Boyertown wrestling and their potential this season and moving forward.
We're pretty excited for the year. We got a lot of guys on the team. We have 48 people. A lot of them are brand new wrestlers, which will be pretty exciting to kind of watch them learn and grow. We have a couple guys, 3 returning state qualifiers, Manuel Wallace, Sebastian Corrales, Noel Gildas. All 3 of those guys should have pretty good years. Another sophomore who was district champion last year in Edwin Kent. Looking forward to good years from all those guys.
So this year we're kind of reloading a little bit. We're a little bit younger, but we have a lot of talent coming up through our ranks. Our numbers are up this year, which we're really excited about. So we're looking to scrap with pretty much anyone in the league this year. Some guys that we're looking right away. We have freshman Mike Miller coming in. Jared McKee's another freshman. Jake Williams, guys that did really well at the middle school level. We also have some guys that were on the team last year that we're looking to kind of take a big step up. Dylan Moore, David Garcia, Steve Foster, Michael Clarkson, guys that have been around the program for a while that we're really looking forward to seeing. And of course we have Paul DeSanta, who's a returning state qualifier, who kind of leads the way with the team.
So for our team, we're just continuing to build on our foundation of our skill set and maneuvers in terms of wrestling. So just hard work, determination, dedication, accountability for our kids, and then maintaining a strong weightlifting program, which we initiated last year pretty heavily. My expectation is that our kids work hard, improve throughout the season, and we hope to reach some of our individual goals as well as our team goals this year. So I think at 170, 82, 95, and 220 is going to be really strong for us. That's Chapman, Wood, Greer, and Flynn. I think Logan had a tough draw wrestling Aladinov out of the gate last year from William Tennant, who took 7th at States. I think he's looking to make a big run this year up at 220. Davis Wheeler kind of anchors our middleweights at 145. He's going to be a strong contender. Was again another guy that was just on the cusp of getting to regionals, and I think that's our challenge, getting those kids to that point where we're setting them up to get to States. If we can get them to regionals, I think we have more of an opportunity. Our district is so strong, with wrestling, it's tough to get guys through. Where I think it's the regional tournament in some sense is almost easier to get guys out than the district tournament is for us. A couple of incumbent freshmen that we have, Russell Lilly will be our varsity 132, and Hunter Long at that 138 to 160 range. They bring a wealth of experience and knowledge. These guys are training at Regional Training Center at UPenn, and they bring a lot to the table for us. So they're looking to definitely immediately contribute to our lineup. And we got a couple kids transferring in. A couple of young guys around 120. Sam Smith comes to mind. That's just has a knack for wrestling, and he'll hopefully pick up a lot of dual wins for us.
2 weeks into it, right now we're just trying to fill some lineups and get kids on weight, get them in shape. A lot of kids coming off of football, some other sports that they played in the fall. So that's kind of where we're at right now, just trying to get everybody healthy and in shape, and then we'll worry about filling the lineup out after that. I think it's a little too early in the year to kind of really set your long-term goals as far as state goals and that. First we need to get guys to weights where they need to be, and then once we get everybody on those weights, then we can kind of look down and see how we match up against some of the powers like Boyertown and O&J in our league. We have 32 kids on the team right now, good mix. Most of our freshmen we keep down to wrestle for the junior high. But we did bring 1 or 2 up, so we'll see how they fill into the weights that year. We do have a lot of kids back from last year's team. But I think we lost 6 starters. So we're kind of looking to fill those in from some of the kids that maybe were JV or wrestled for the middle school team last year.
It's going really well. The guys are working hard, putting in a lot of time this off season to be where we are now. But our numbers are good. The guys did a good job compared to last year in making sure they were ready for the weight certification process. So it's allowed our team to fill out all the weight classes and spread out like we need to. And now it's just about putting the work in, and they're doing a good job of that. So we're very excited to build on last year and the last 2 years, and we'll see here coming up. Yeah, we have 3 freshmen that'll be starters for us. 106 is Eric Aldifer. Should compete right away. Been excited to have him. 113 is Cody Witzer, newcomer to the school. He's got a couple years of wrestling experience, but he's competed well with Eric, and we're excited about what he brings at 113. And then up top at 220, we have Leo Muzica, who's another freshman, been with us, and excited to get him up. Same thing, he's already competing with a lot of the seniors that we have up top on our team, so I'm excited to see him compete for us.
I would say we're mostly developmental. We have a couple of seasoned kids, some kids with some experience, with some pretty high goals, mixed in with a lot of new guys, a lot of athletes that have taken to wrestling. So we're seeing if we can put those 2 things together and make a team here and get some wins. So it'll be interesting. I think the chess mod is a little different this year. I think it's a little wide open. I think all the teams lost a lot of quality to graduation, so it'll come down to which teams are regrouping the fastest, the most efficiently. I think all the teams are solid. Henderson's very good. Downtown West is always very balanced and strong. So I think the league will be just as interesting.
I feel pretty good about quite a few of the guys. But overall we're a young, inexperienced team. A lot of freshmen coming in. Hopefully get those guys to catch the bug, and we'll see what we got at the end of the year. But there's quite a few guys on this team that I expect a lot out of. Got one that is his name's Jackson Roberts. I expect big things from him. He's an experienced wrestler. He's been wrestling for a long time. Came up through the youth program. He's got a lot of big tournament experience. So yeah, I expect a lot out of him.
We got a good solid group of kids back. We had a couple injuries we're fighting through right now. We're still in the the Eagles theme, next man up. So I think we're a pretty solid lineup. We have forfeits in the lineup, and moving to the Continental Conference, we're looking forward to wrestling those bigger schools this year. Moving out of the American, so we're pretty excited about that. Yeah, we got unfortunately our Tom McGann, who was going to be our 6-pounder, broke his collarbone last week. We were looking for big things from him. He was pretty excited, to finally get to high school and be able to wrestle at the high school level. So, we're sad for him, and I know he's pretty upset with that injury. But I'm hoping he mends, and I don't think we'll see him at the end of the year, but there's a chance. It's going to be interesting. We start out with Council Rock South, which is a non-league. Then we go all the way to Solderton, who I think has a pretty solid team this year. And then North Penn, you can never count them out. The CBs, you never know what you're going to get with those guys. And then Penn Ridge, they graduated a lot last year, so they're a little down, but they're always very competitive. So we're looking forward to just being back in the Continental Conference, where we won't see as many forfeits. Unfortunately, at the smaller schools, you see a lot of forfeits in the lineup, and it was tough competition, but just the numbers weren't there. So that's one of the big things we're excited to see full line.
Yeah, we're off to a pretty good start. We have over 30 kids out for the team. We have a nice mix of all ages. We're excited to bring back 2 state qualifiers in Andrew DiBernardo and Corey Salenza. And we have good balance, and I don't think there's a better league, top to bottom, than the Chesmont, and a better individual league than the Chesmont National. So, we're excited for after the new year to wrestle in maybe the best league in District 1. Our newcomers we have about 11 9th graders out for the team. So, no one I think that's going to break our varsity lineup right away, but a lot of kids that are working hard, and we have especially bigger 9th graders, kids that are up in weight, right off our freshman football team. So we're excited about them as well.
Preseason's been going well. We're working real hard. We all are encouraged to keep a goal, have a goal in mind, whatever that may be. Really, it's all about attitude and effort, and that's what I've been pushing, is attitude and effort, because you gotta love what you do, enjoy it, and preseason's been a pretty good grind, and we're young and building, so just blue collar, hard worker kids, trying to make a name, and we got a couple kids like might be drawing some blanks here, but we got like a Stephen Gagliardi, we got Drew Minko, Eddie Upperdick, and might be missing one here because there's a few different guys, but the goal is just to put our best foot forward.
Right now, I have pretty high expectations. I had high expectations last year as well, but a series of injuries and some other issues, it didn't pan out for us. But I actually think this year's team might have more depth and a stronger lineup throughout than we had last year. Very optimistic, assuming we don't have the injuries we had last year. Everybody sticks together as a team. My expectations are pretty high, to be honest with you. We feel the same way, obviously. Quakertown being out is a big factor. I don't know much about the other teams. I know Hepburn has a pretty good lineup coming back. Don't want to overlook Abington. I think they have a few decent guys. We haven't wrestled them, so we don't want them sneaking into the league and all of a sudden taken by surprise there. So we're not taking anybody lightly. But feeling pretty good. If we wrestle and keep the lineup together, get guys in the right weight classes, I think we should be contending for the league title. Well, again, I would start with my 4 captains, 4 senior captains. You got Charlie Brammer, has had a good career. He's on the outside of looking at 100 wins. He's going to have a real good year to do that, but he's got the chance to do that, so that's something to look forward to. Peter Sweeney's had a nice career. Mark Thompson, he's good heavyweight and a football player. Have pretty high expectation for him. but a little behind playing football and whatever. Didn't do as much maybe in the spring and summer as we had hoped, but hopefully he's going to have a good year. And then Brian Fennell. Brian Fennell has been rashed with injuries in the 2 postseasons. He's coming into this healthy, and I'm hoping he can overcome some of his injuries and really have very high expectations for him to, we have a couple guys in this team I expect to be at the state tournament, but everything's got to play out the best. As far as other guys in the lineup, we got a real good junior, Dan Keller. He's had a good career so far. We expect big things out of him. Kevin Salmon's been hurt a few times, but he's back as a junior. And then we have a tough sophomore, Matty Fritz. He's got lofty goals for himself as a sophomore. And then we have a couple guys coming in, freshmen that they could break the starting lineup. Owen Quinn could break the starting lineup, a good freshman, and then DJ Andreze. Originally thought he might be going to Germantown Academy. He's here, and he's about a skilled guy on his feet in our room right now as a freshman. Needs work on other positions, but on his feet, so he could surprise some people with probably 13 and maybe even 106.
We lost a lot of guys last year, seniors. The SNL brothers are gone. Cooper's gone. We lost a couple kids to transfer. So we're a little bit younger than we have been in the past 2 years, and we have Emilio Hartman Velez, who's a sophomore. We're going to be looking at having some big wins this year for us. Larry Gerard's going to be a senior this year. He had a district qualifier last year, so we're excited to have him back. And then John Cluin is going to be one of our bigger guys too, is in the upper weight classes. So we expect him to be competitive. A couple freshmen, a couple guys that have come in that look pretty good. We haven't been able to get them too consistently because of the Thanksgiving break here, but we're looking a little younger with some guys that can still put up some wins for us.
We're excited because we have 11 returning starters coming back. They're a little bunched up right now, but we're certainly excited with that. Ethan Seeley, as our strongest remaining wrestler from last year's team, did a lot of work in the offseason. He got to go to Fargo, so we're excited about seeing him wrestle. Well, we have Tim Dyer is a football player that was on the team last year who didn't get his weight below 285 that we're really excited about, so he'll be at heavyweight. And for the first time, we have a handful of freshmen that have wrestled in the youth, and so we're excited about them trying to find their way into the lineup.
We're just going to battle, hope for the best. I mean, I think we can be very competitive in the chess month. I still think we can be competitive in the range. We got 4 big guys up top that I think won a lot of matches. A couple young guys that are promising. So, and I think we got 6 pretty solid spots, and the rest of our spots are guys that aren't brand new. They've been here, and they're younger. They weren't getting a lot of time last year, but they were getting some time. So, I think some of those guys can develop and win some matches. I think we can be competitive in the region again this year. And I'm expecting to be wrestling on the last day of the district goal. So we're not by any means catching it in and calling it a rebuilding here. I mean, we got some other guys. I mean, Dom obviously, other people know him, but we got some other guys that I don't know that they're going to make a big explosion this year, but before their high school career is over, they're going to be some kids that can win some matches. Jason's younger brother, I think he's very raw. He's really starting to enjoy the sport, and I think the more he enjoys it, he's going to start rising up pretty quick. So, we have some other guys, like I said, that are they're just pretty raw, kind of new to the sport. But I mean, our freshman class this year moves very well. I mean, they got some good talent. They may not be presence this year for their high school careers over. There will be some names that you do know.
Our main goal is just to keep our tradition alive. We have a very talented group. We have a good core of freshmen coming in, and we have expectations that we want to meet. At the same time, it's just one match at a time, and hopefully see that daily improvement in the kids. I mean, we have expectations for all of them. I mean, but our main focus is to improve the whole class as itself. We have Brody Borkowski coming in, Gabe Bowe, Grant Baker coming up. couple kids that have had a very good fundamentals in their young youth career, so he's just looking to improve on that.
In terms of our team, yeah, we're excited. Obviously, we got a lot of guys back. So this group of seniors now has been through a lot. They had a really good core of guys before them to learn the ropes from, and I think that paid dividends last year. As you saw, we were able to continue to wrestle at a high level. So we had guys last year that may not have been varsity guys year before, but they really stepped up. So we're looking forward to that, seeing who our next man up is, and to see who can fill in shoes from guys that we did lose last year. Because it's really hard to replace those seniors that are that understand the sport and that understand dual meet situations. A guy like Weinstein for us was an upperweight last year. Just senior leadership is huge.
But you talked about those guys and the next man up, like Gianni Gilch last year. Getting the state. 7 returning state qualifiers on the team, and I used that mantra last year about the next man up kind of all season long. So who are the next men up? I mean, who are the guys that we're not going to notice in this lineup?
Well, we do have a lot back, so that's obviously makes my job a little bit easier. But where they fill out in terms of weights and whatnot, that's still to be determined. It's still a little early. But we're going to need a lightweight. Our guys will probably start up and then maybe drop later in the year. So maybe possibly you can see Kevin Kinney get in the lineup early. We're also thin up top, so we need bodies. And so right now we're actively recruiting guys in our school in the hallway, and hopefully we can get some bodies up there, and then hopefully our regular returners can help those guys kind of understand the ropes and
obviously
turn them into wrestlers. So
that light middleweight trio you have is
got
phenomenal.
some solid kids, and I don't want to mention specific names because I'll leave somebody out, unfortunately.
I'll talk to them later.
Yeah, I mean everybody knows who our returners are, and so we're just looking for those guys. Although we had 7 returning state qualifiers back, only 1 medal last year. So as excited as we were, like that, when you get to the state tournament, you want to get on that podium. And so we got 6 guys that were at states last year that didn't medal, and our job is to try to get them on that podium. We're podium hunting, absolutely, and so we're just looking for all those guys to continue making improvements. I don't care about wins and losses. That'll come. That'll take care of itself. What we care about, day in, day out, dual meet, doesn't matter who we're wrestling or tournament, just continue to make progress. So, yeah.
Yeah, our numbers are high. We got almost 60 wrestlers in the room. So that comes with some good things and some bad things with coaching and having room to work out. So we split practices and try to get everybody to get the attention of the coaches. So we lost 2 seniors last year. So our team is actually pretty good. Every weight class should have a decent wrestler in it. Well, Colton had just missed going to states Hershey last year. We're hoping that he can put it together this year and come back and get there this year. Jackson had a great season. Went to Hershey. Trying to get a little higher up on that podium this year. He's just signed for Millersville, so we're looking for big things from him. Zach Martin, who won 13 last year, he put on some size, lifted weights all summer. He's probably going to go 32, 38. We're not sure yet, but he's a hard-working kid, and we're looking for big things from him. One freshman we have, it's working pretty hard, Calvin Lederer. Coach Dex is on the team, winningest wrestler in Chamonix history. So he's got some big shoes to fill in the family.
I think we'll be able to hold our own in the Central, and now that with the new reformation of the district, I think we'll be able to, pull a couple medals here and there.
Does the Central League get split up a little bit, or are you guys all in the same district?
No, actually, it's spread out pretty wide. Actually, there's a Conestoga, I believe, is heading up to the north, basically the Pac-10 part. A good part of us are staying in the south, and then a couple other guys are heading over to the other district, or one of the other districts, I forget what it is. I think down low, we have a lot of experience. My heavyweights, solid, just missed making states last year. Coming out of the gate up to probably 160, I think we'll be able to more than hold our own with most teams out there. So.
We hit the ground running this year. Last year, first year, taking over the program, kind of started a little slower to kind of implement my style, my way of coaching. And this year, we kind of already kind of made that transition to my style and how I want to coach and how my coaching staff wants to coach. And like I said, we hit the ground running this year. We're hoping to put a winning record up on Phoenixville for the first time since like the 90s. So it's been a while since Phoenixville Wrestling had a winning record, so that's hoping this year's the year. Owen Cook is one of my freshmen coming up. Yeah, he's experienced. He's got the explosiveness, the technique from it. So we're expecting kind of a lot from him. We got a transfer from Parkland named Dave Palanke, who is a solid wrestler, and I'm expecting a lot from him. As well as a couple of our returners like Alex Washington. I'm expecting a lot from him too. He was a match away from regionals last year, so we're hoping some big things from him this year as well.
We have a lot of guys this year. I have 35 out this year. I have a crop of seniors that stuck by me the last 4 years, but also we brought up a whole crew of freshmen. A lot of them are new to the sport, or relatively new, so we're working those guys in and teaching them the love for the sport every day, and that's kind of what I want to do at Radnor, give kids a passion for wrestling and to help grow the sport any way I can. Like I said, a lot of them are pretty new, just started 7th and 8th grade, but they're all very excited and very committed. So from that aspect, I'm really looking forward to what they bring this year.
Well, as we're very, very young, we have no seniors on the team, but the good thing is we have about 14 kids back. So we're getting some experience. It's not a great wrestling community, so a lot of these kids were new in the past couple of years, but we're going to have one of the better teams that we've had simply because we have some experience now. So I'm really kind of excited about what we have to get done.
Preseason has been great. Kids are working hard. For the season, trying to stay healthy, win matches, and get to Hershey. I think that's kind of the goal for everybody. Central League title, if that's in the cards. See if we're good enough to compete in the district duels this year. I think overall, I think we're pretty solid. Most of the guys are back this year. Freshman class looks decent. A couple contributors, I think, this year. So I'm for the most part the freshman class is big. No huge names coming out, but I think the first 3 weights might be freshmen. Newcomer, wrestled a lot in the youth. Mitch Baker, solid kid, works hard in the room. Could contribute down low. Most of the middle and uppers are returners from last year. We didn't lose much, so I think we'll be solid throughout. Just filling in a couple holes here and there.
We're pretty excited. We're a young team. No seniors. We have 4 returning state qualifiers, so we're pretty excited about kind of the top end of our team. We always say we have 5 pretty real solid kids, and then a handful of some young guys that are kind of progressing nicely, and we're pretty excited about it. We have a couple guys that wrestled some varsity last year, 82. Blake Silver's a sophomore. He had a good year last year, good experience being on varsity. Our heavyweight, Max Harrar, is another sophomore. He wrestled some 220 last year. He's in his 2nd year. He's kind of progressing nicely, so we're looking for them to kind of just make some nice strides. We wrestle them right off the bat. We're obviously a pretty solid lineup. I think the Chamonix pretty solid as well. So we'll have some pretty tough duels. I mean, I think we're going to be a team that's going to learn a lot over the years, dual meet-wise, but I think we'll be a pretty solid tournament team as well.
We'll be pretty tough this year. We don't have many new guys. We have a couple incoming freshmen who are tough. We lost a good amount of seniors, but we have a couple solid seniors. No juniors on our team this year. Some solid sophomores and a good freshman class, so we'll be tough. Most of our freshmen. We have a couple guys that didn't come out last year that are returning, like Jed Ojua, Javon Wilson. We have a couple freshmen, Chase Barlow, Aaron Fields. He came back out recently, so they're new guys. I'm looking forward to see how they do.
We are young, very young, good core of young guys, and we have a solid core of juniors and seniors this year, so we're looking for good things. Our 106-pounder and our heavyweight are 2 guys that we're looking at right now. It's nice to have young kids on both ends of the spectrum, and we're looking for big things from both of them. They're both talented kids who've been wrestling a long time.
Well, Glenn, you couldn't have finished with a better guy than Dave Jones to take us out at the end of the coaches there.
My first assistant, Jonesy.
Give me some of your initial thoughts on what these coaches had to say.
you know, the coaches say the right things this time of year with the preseason. You know, these were scrimmages, and you know, we want to give some credit to Nate Hackenberger and to Joe Stabolito, I believe, as well, and Mike, myself, and Joe out there getting video on these coaches. So, listen, these coaches don't want to tell us what they really think, but we know we can kind of read through the lines a little bit, and I think every coach, you know, wants to come out and start the season well, and then reality sets in, and then at the end of the season is when you really have to dig down deep and see if the hard work paid off. And it's not just the season, it's not just practice, it's not the preseason, it's the summer, it's the weightlifting, it's the off-season tournaments, it's the Super 32, it's Fargo, and this is 365 days a year wrestling. So they all could talk to us for hours, but really good stuff. I think every coach seems to the sport's growing. It's not a dying sport anymore, fans. This is a growing sport. You hear the numbers. Radnor alone, hearing those numbers there is very promising.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with the amount of guys that are out wrestling right now, and every coach saying how their numbers are up. And, you know, it's still early. Those numbers might fall off a little bit. Some guys might feel that maybe it's not for them, those guys that pick it up. But I know seeing the O&J wrestling room, there's several guys that have never wrestled before. Some seniors coming out first time, something they wanted to try. And, you know, it's a product of having guys in your school on your team that have success. And you see that as a team, and people then want to be part of that and want to see what it's all about. And, you know, it's great to see that. You know, the argument always is that the sport is dying and the numbers are down, but for this year right now in District 1, numbers are up, and that's only, you know, shows how bright it's going to be in the future.
Yeah, and a couple of coaches mentioned about athletes coming out for the team, and I think it was Joe Horvath from Downingtown East, excuse me, and it's true. If you can get a good athlete in the room, and they can understand the concept of the sport, and they have good hips. Most athletes have decent hips, but if you can kind of, you know, get the hips in the right place and get things going with a couple of moves, and all you need is a handful of moves for these young guys and these football players coming in, these upper weights. Give them 5 moves. You can really shape a team out and fill a lineup. And we were talking earlier off camera about, you know, if you have some heavyweights, if you have 95, 220, 285, you have 3 bodies there, you're going to win some dual meets.
Yeah, because you're going to collect some points at the top, you know, unfortunately via forfeit, where other teams might struggle to fill their lineup. Few things, just so some of the tweets and texts that I've received, we will get to those towards the end. Don't think we're not ignoring them or anything like that. We're hoping to get a few more. So, you know, tweet at PA Wrestling and, you know, get those questions in. Those that do have my number, feel free to text me. You know, Glenn and I are doing the Adam Schefter bit where we have our phones out just in case you know, someone wants to text in a question, or we get some kind of alert via Twitter. One other thing I want to talk about, Glenn, and we talked about it off camera, you know, about naming the best league in District 1 right now, and John Gallo had a bold prediction there. I think it's a little early to tell. Definitely some talented teams in that League of the Chessmont, but I think it's he going on a limb there this early on, calling it the best league in District 1.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think we know that you know, the PAC and the Suburban 1 League have the best teams in District 1 right now, and certainly day in and day out. I think every league's going to be competitive, but the reality is the PAC still is the league, the benchmark league in District 1 in terms of the talented teams. If you look at, you know, the Suburban 1 League in terms of just the national conference alone with the Council Rocks and the Chamonix right now, I would say they're probably a step ahead of the Chessmont. But, you know, the Chessmont with the 3 Westchester teams and the 2 Downingtown teams, that is the Chessmont League.
Totally agree.
And for John, he knows that is a grind, and for him, it probably feels that way.
Yeah, and John definitely, you know, has one of that Westchester East team is definitely one of the teams that, you know, we're all going to keep our eye on this year. They're not sneaking up on anyone anymore, and he's done a nice job growing that program.
So I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a look here. If Mike's ready to go, we're going to take a look at the wrestlers team outlook, which I find to be, you know, you can really see how coaches, you know, coach up their kids, not only to speak about team goals and about expectations, but let's take a look at the kids here and what they have to say.
Team outlook, I think we're going to be a very good tournament team. Dual team, we're still going to be good, but as a tournament team, we got a lot of guys that I think can medal and even like win states this year, so I think definitely see us at the top of the tournaments we're going to.
So a team, we're definitely trying to make it states. Definitely trying to get as many wins as we can. Just honestly trying to get better wrestlers out of the season. Not really. We're looking at achievement, but we're not. We're not pounding on it. So definitely trying to get some better wrestlers in after the season. People, reaching their goals. That's really what we're looking for.
It's a young team with a lot of learning to do, but I think our conditioning will be good and it'll keep us going in the third period.
Goals for the Skins is we want to make it to state duels this year. We have a pretty solid team, we're working hard. Everyone has a good work ethic in there, so state duels is the goal. Should do pretty well this year.
I think we're looking good this year. I think we got a lot of new kids with a lot of talent, so I think we'll definitely do better than we did last year. We worked a lot on just endurance and lifting to get stronger for the season. During the preseason, we got a little extra time to start getting back into the groove of wrestling. The thing I want to work on the most, we definitely struggle on bottom with our heads getting on the mat, so that's something we definitely need to work on this year.
I think we're really motivated and driven to do well this year since we didn't do as well as we thought last year. So all the guys are really driven.
Preseason's going great. We have a really strong team this year. So many more kids are coming out, and we're pushing the pace right off the beginning for a good season.
Last year we tied a match, which if we won we would have tied for first place in the Frontier Division. So this year my goal is to win the Frontier Division for our team. I think that'd be a great goal for Coach Clark's second year winning the side of the pack. Yeah, our team looks really good. Kids are actually coming out. We have a decent sized team from the past 2 years. And we got some new kids that are going to really help our team.
League champs. Number 3, you better be ready to jump on it. I think we should dominate the league this year. Catch some dubs. Room's good. Been working early and hopefully it carries me out through the season.
It's going great so far. Our conditioning's been really tough, so we're all in great shape. Our freshmen are working really hard. Practices are going really smoothly so far. I think our goal this year is to make the district duels again and hopefully get 20 wins as a team. And especially our younger guys, just keep progressing and just keep pounding away.
Preseason's going great. All the guys are getting in. We're putting a lot of work in. We're scrapping real hard. Our goals this year, we're just trying to get better every day. We want to make people fear us. Like, we know we're the underdogs this year. We lost Elijah and Zach, who are really good seniors last year. So we just want to come out and shock people and show them how good we really are.
Well, definitely our goal for this year is to be the Central League champs. We got a lot of talent, especially in some lower weights. Got a lot of good young guys. So hopefully we can take the league and get a chip before I leave. Yeah, we're working hard. The guys are getting a good sweat in the room. Everything seems to be going great right now. Hopefully everybody stays healthy and have a great opener.
This year we got a complete team and we have a lot of big goals. We've been working this whole off season, and from what I've been seeing in the room so far these first few days, it looks great. And last year, we had a core group of kids, but the majority of our lineup, we had a bunch of injuries that we were devastated from, and this year, we're looking to overcome that, and we have some high expectations for the team, not only within the league, but district duels, getting towards that. So
this year it's definitely more focused on winning the big dual meets this year. Last year, prior years, we've had injuries and stuff, and so I think this year, team goal, big goal, is for everyone to be healthy and for everyone to just wrestle as hard as possible, but carrying into hopefully winning big dual meets in the league and outside of the league, going into various duels tournaments, just wrestling hard. I feel like as a team, we want to emphasize just every match across the board, from the most experienced wrestler to a first-year wrestler, just regardless of win or lose, just if you put everything out there. And I think that's what we want as a team, and doing that, I think we'll get to our bigger goals of hopefully district duels or winning certain big dual meets in the league. That's what we're really excited about too, is just seeing some new up-and-coming guys and some of the juniors and sophomores that have stayed with us, and then the seniors as well.
This year, we returned a lot of our starters from last year. I think we returned 7 of our 8 state qualifiers, so that's a huge positive for us. And we won district duels last year, and the goal is to repeat, but that's not really the big goal. last year, states, we fell short versus Ken McMack, and if we would have won that one, I believe we would have took 4th, and we want to get on that podium this year as a team for state duels. And I don't see any reason why we can't do it if we wrestle. If we just push ourselves and keep on pushing ourselves, I think we'll be easily a top 4 team. I think we could possibly make the state finals.
For me as a captain, the outlook as a team, now that we're got young kids but they're hungry, I think that we have a very good shot at winning this league. And as a team, that's one goal and one thing I would love to achieve.
This season, as a team, we're looking good from the bottom. We probably got a full lineup up to 220. Got to fill some spots, but we got some guys that can get it done for us. Down low, if we all wrestle how we should be doing it this year, I think we got a pretty good chance at going pretty far into the state tournament. Hopefully place in top 4. We can make it pretty far throughout our districts. I think that there shouldn't be that much competition. I mean, there obviously will be competition, but I think if we work together, there shouldn't be many people stopping us.
I feel like my team, we've grown for the past 6 years since I started out in 7th grade at Church Farm School. Me, my friend Noel, and Emmanuel have went to states, and I feel like we're really going to come together this year. Our team's we're building a strong foundation with our 11th graders and our freshmen and our sophomores. But our school is very special because a lot of our students that come to our school don't wrestle beforehand, and we have to build up their skills from the beginning. And I feel like we're going to be pretty solid in District 1 this year. I feel like we're going to be able to beat most teams.
This year, the team's looking real nice. We've got 60 freshmen around, a lot of kids.
Big numbers.
Yeah, 4 room every practice. Working hard. Very impressed with the whole team. We're all working hard. Hopefully, state duels appearance would be the main goal. South is always a problem, but hopefully we can close the gap this year, maybe even beat them. We're just working day to day. Hopefully, top 2 in the league. It's pretty fun, you know. All the kids just hard work. Zach's looking real nice. Hopefully he can get on the podium too. And solid lineup. It's fun to be a leader.
Looking pretty good. We had some kids come out early in August, and in the summer we had a couple kids wrestling in the room all year round. The start of the season's good. Kids are grinding, running hard, getting in shape. Looking forward to our first competition this upcoming weekend.
Well, this year we have to come out strong, keep working hard. Try as hard as we can every match. If you're down, you got to keep fighting and you got to get back on top. Most of our team goals come from just trying to win as many dual meets as we can, try to make the district duels, keep injuries out, and just keep grinding hard, keep practicing hard, and that'll show off on the mat so that we can make it to where we want to be in the postseason.
So we got a lot of returning guys. We didn't graduate many kids, so we still have a pretty relatively young or old lineup, however you want to go about that. But I think we have a pretty tough team this year. We did lose 2 of our main guys. We lost Josh Stahl to an injury, and also our 106 freshman Tom McGann to an injury. So that'll hurt a little bit, but like Coach always says, next man up. Hopefully we do well at district duels. We made it last year, lost in the first round, but hopefully we want to get to states. That's the goal every year. So far, it's pretty much gone as planned. We've had 2 great scrimmages. Last week, we wrestled with Saucon Valley and Boyertown at our home gym. That was great. I got to wrestle Josh Jones, stud. Took 2nd in states last year. That really got me going. Really showed what I need to do to better myself for this year. And this week, good scrimmage again, wrestling some top wrestlers, state caliber wrestling, and that really get me going for the season. But I'd say it's going well.
Our expectations are pretty high. We have most of our guys coming back. We had 8 state qualifiers and 7 of them back in the lineup, so we're looking to do pretty good in the team duels. Set pretty high, probably place, hopefully even win.
And we're back.
Yeah, you know, these guys said all the right things, you know, as far as their outlook and how they feel about where their team is now at this point, where they hope the team gets to later in the season. Just from a personal standpoint, I'm excited to see a few things. I'm excited to see, you know, this Neshaminy team and see, you know, how a lot of these guys that we've watched grow up from freshmen be contributors all 4 years, see how they finish out their career as a team. I know they have lofty goals. I know you're big on Wissahickon to a point, to see where they go, see if they can put it all together and stay healthy. So it's gonna be kind of interesting to see, like how a lot of these league races pan out. Some of them aren't all cut and dry like in years past. And these wrestlers know it. I mean, they're in a room every day with their teammates. They know what they have. They know what makes the makeup of a good team, and they're taking that in stride and.
Yeah, I mean the kids kind of tell it a little bit more like it is, and it seems like they were all having fun too. And second week for some of those guys, the other scrimmage, some of the other kids were the first week in with that first scrimmage. So I know getting to wrestle some live with some other bodies, not just your buddies in the room, really is a big step to the start of the season. And we already had a weekend of wrestling, so. I think, you're going to start to see some of this stuff play out really quick. I mean, we got some big dual meets coming up this week. I mean, Quakertown's going to go at it tomorrow with Council Rock South. So I'm kind of excited for these kids as well. And especially some of these teams that, Neshaminy just really has come around full cycle now, and they're going to give the Council Rocks a battle this year. And you're right, I am looking forward to that. But after I saw the PAC teams and got to see them last year a couple times, doing the matches, seeing those dual meets, I'd like to see what's going to happen there. And I think that's going to really be indicative of what we're going to see at the duels, because you got Westchester, Henderson out there looming. We don't know what Downingtown West has coming back, but we're going to get into that in a minute, and we're going to take a look at some of the coaches, feelings about some of these top teams, and they're going to be pretty much in line with what we're looking at as well.
Yeah, one of the things we asked all the coaches, and we're going to get to it as we go through the preview here tonight. We asked them about their own personal outlook. We asked them about what the other top teams they felt were in the region that they had to worry about. And we also asked them like we talked about, their impression of the initial impression of the postseason format, what their thoughts were. And so, we're going to talk a little bit, let them talk about what they feel or who they feel the top teams are. And just, Dylan Moore, if you're out there still watching, we got to your question. Glenn's, drooling over here over that question that you threw his way. So we are going to get to that a little bit later in the show. But right now, Mike's going to throw on the coaches' predictions for the top teams here in District 1.
You want to compete, that's ultimately going to test you for the postseason, and I think it's growing. I think a couple of those teams that I mentioned will pack a punch. Bishop McDevitt out of District 12 will no doubt be there again, so we'll see how it all plays out. We're looking forward to it.
I think that in the national, each and every year, both Downingtowns are tough outs. Henderson's got 3 state qualifiers back, and Coatesville and Avon Grove just always have good numbers and good individual kids. And Ruston's been the team to beat the American, but every one of those teams looks improved as well.
Council Rock South, I think, is the team that you got to shoot for. As far as the next 4 or 5 teams, I think it's a jump ball. It's going to be a battle of attrition. Who's going to stay healthy, and whose kids are all going to be there at the end of the season for the dual meet part. So, other than South, I don't want to start mentioning teams because I know I'm going to miss 1 or 2, and then next thing you know, like, yo, what about us? You missed us. So, yeah, I'm not going to put myself out there like that.
So in our league, I like to put us in the top of the pack. I think Springford, O&J, McFacton, just going to be solid teams as well. It's going to come down to who's healthy at the right time, who gets the best matchups and lineups at that time. But I'm excited to see how those dual meets work out. District 1, you can't not put Council Rock South at the top. I know they're going to be tough. I think some of our teams in the pack are going to be up there as well. So I'm excited to see how that turns out also.
Right now, I'd have to say like the lead horse is Chichester, simply because they have a lot of returning kids and they have some experienced kids, which, in a 5-team league, if you have some experience, you're going to be in good shape. Interborough, Glen Mills always has those stud athletes, and Penwood, Dan does a great job with those kids. Glen Mills, back to Glen Mills for a second, those coaches do a wonderful job. So when they get those stud athletes in, you're not sure from year to year what you're going to face. So, they do a great job. But I would say it comes down to probably Chi and Interborough. Well, you got to go to those traditional powers. I don't see Council Rock South slipping. I don't see North slipping or O&J. And again, they're just tough kids with great programs, and they get those young kids in who fill those spots. when they have a graduating senior, they have a kid that fills the spot, and it makes them a formidable team. So yeah, I guess the traditional powers will be up top again.
Central League is going to be pretty tough this year. I know Garnet's always up there. Conestoga, they're going to surprise some teams this year, and Radnor as well. Radnor is a full lineup, and they have a good returning class, so they're going to be tough. Ridley's always tough. District 1 is going to be interesting. You know, always top teams, Council Rock. I think Ruston is going to surprise a lot of teams this year. They're good, and the Downingtowns, they'll do a good job.
As far as what we're going to see during our league during the year, we'll see Council Rock North, we'll see Springford. Those are like the Wood. Those are our the top teams that we'll probably catch up with.
District, obviously, Council Rock South, and you have Boyertown, Springford. They're always going to be tough in the big picture. In our league, we have PW obviously with now Hatboro in the league in Abington, so it's going to be a tough go.
What's kind of nice this year is with not having Quakertown in our league and getting to Abington, we're all kind of crapshoot. Between us, Wissahickon, up in Moreland, Abington themselves. So I really Wissahickon, I think I said too. We're all in the mix for it. Across the district, you always got your Council Rock South and Norths and Springfords, O&J Roberts. I think Westchester Henderson's going to be a good team this year. They kind of showed up last year, so I'm really curious to see how they do this year.
Yeah, Upper Darby and Garnet, they're always the top two, and then the rest sort of fight it out from there. I think we got a good shot. We were, toe-to-toe with Upper Darby last year. We have most of our returners back. I think they lost a few. We'll see. Garnet's always tough, so we'll see. I mean, we get them both early in the season. We'll know where we stand at that point.
Within the league, I mean, I love our league. We look forward to our competition. I mean, with O&J, Boyertown, Springford, the top four there, we look to compete with them year in, year out. I mean, they're exciting dual meets. Those are the meets that why we trade, and look forward to it.
Judgment National stuff. I really believe it's one of the best leagues. So D East is going to be good. D West is good. I mean, they won it last year. They're going to be competitive. Westchester East, Ivan Grove. I mean, Coatesville. They have all good individuals. So it's wide open. It's going to be a tough go. Whoever wins that. So, well, Council Rock South is your one. I mean, they're stacked. I mean, they have a staff and a half. Always, they're kind of like they set the tone for everybody else, District 1. So, I saw O&J. O&J is very good in the middle, man. They're murderous road in the middle. They're very tough. Quakertown got everybody back. Council Rock North. Springfield's always good. So, I like to think we're in the middle of that. We can compete there. So, but yeah, it's a lot of the same teams last year, and I think a couple teams that brought a lot of guys back. The fact it's going to be good. We'll see them this weekend. So yeah, I'm excited.
Well, I think for years we've kind of been in Quakertown's shadow, 1 and 2, always behind them. So it certainly helps lift our spirits to chase a team title for our conference, which we haven't been able to do in years. Coming out with a win at the end of our league tournament last year was huge for us. Advancing more kids in Suburban 1 to districts than any other team was great. So we're obviously hopeful that we'll be a contender, and certainly I think league champion is our goal this year. Abington brings a strong lineup. I think they're maybe bottlenecked in some weights, whereas we have more of a spread. But I see PW as a strong team that's well coached, as well as Wissahickon is always in the mix. So it's always tough duels with them. Yeah, I think Council Rock South's always strong. North as well, barring injuries and things like that. Those teams seem to always be reloading. I think Pennsbury has an interesting dynamic with a new head coach down there, implementing some newer college-style wrestling with their program. So I find teams are going to be tough throughout District 1 this year. Penridge is another one. I think is just well coached. Despite new coach there, I find they'll be a strong team as well.
Yeah, that's probably a good question right now. I think everyone's asking themselves that question. I know South is a very solid dual meet team. Like I said earlier, the Chamonix, I think it's going to be very tough. And other than that, I think it's the usual Springfords, the Downingtowns are always pretty scrappy. Boyertown always puts out a top solid team. I'm curious to see what lineups look like in the next couple of weeks to see how things play out.
Well, I haven't seen the lineup yet, but it's always. I don't expect a whole lot out of us because we're a young team, but probably Rustin is coming up. Maybe Oxford if Sheffield comes back. Yeah, Rustin's always at the top there. So I expect them to do a lot of good things. Council Rock South, O&J. I think that they're poised for a good run. Council Rock North as well. Both of those teams got a lot of guys coming back, and they're looking pretty good from what I understand.
Well, certainly within our division of the Chestnut and the American, Rustin seems to be the team to beat. Again, they got a lot of good youth kids coming in, a lot of kids back, so we're looking at them as the team that we need to beat in order to win the Chestnut American.
So we have Garnet Valley and Upper Darby, always the top two kind of competitors. I see Ridley not necessarily as a dark horse, but Tony Fabry over at Ridley, I know, has been working those guys hard, and they are scary with his leadership, so they're going to be a threat this year. I'm looking forward to a good Central League dual meet schedule. It's always pretty tough for us, and I can see us getting a couple good wins this year.
I think you'll see pretty much the typical cast of characters that you've seen the past couple years. I know some teams are returning a lot of guys as well. Obviously, if we're looking right here in my area, Council Rock North has some studs that are going to go deep in their postseason. Neshamony's got everybody back, so they're going to be much improved. They're doing really good things with their program. I think Quakertown's got a lot of guys back. And then you look, across the district a little bit farther. O&J, obviously, I think is one of the top teams, if not the top team, with Council Rock North. That we could see, Springford as well. Those same teams that have been there, and you can never count Boyertown out. Boyertown will be sneaky. They're well coached. They got a great program.
Yeah, they're going to reload.
They're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
They're not going anywhere. So, and that's just. I think what you're seeing now is these programs. You always have ups and downs and dips and whatnot, but the teams that have what I consider programs are the ones that have that sustainability. It's kind of easy to have 1 or 2 good years, but to be at the top for a long time is pretty impressive. And those teams that I just mentioned, they've been competing at a high level. Those are always the teams you're looking at district duels, and it seems like year in and year out. So kudos to them for keeping that going.
Well, the top gun is always South. I mean, we know that they're going to be tough. They got a great lineup, great coaching staff, great program. We try to they do the things that they do to try to get to that point. Hopefully we can hang with them. I don't know if we can, and then North is right there with their 4 or 5 guns that they have. We had a good match with them last year and really took it to them, so hopefully we can come back and do it again this year. I know Springford's got a good team coming back, and actually we are in the Rock Yard duels this year, so we're going to see the Facton, Council Rock North. I think Springford's in it also, so we'll see some of those District 1 teams in that pretty early, so that should be good.
It's wide open. PV had quite a few young kids in their lineup, and I know they have a lot of kids on their team that work hard. Methacton may have some of the most talented kids in the entire district, with the Moser kid and some of the other kids that they took to states last year, Tony Ellis. So, if they can fill in with some of their weights, it's going to be a wide open race.
Last year, Faith Christian won the BAL and the district tournament, so they're the team to beat. They had a lot of younger guys on the team still around, so until those guys are gone, it looks like they're doing a great job down there, so they're the team to beat.
As far as the league, obviously Council Rock South is always the team to beat in our specific Suburban 1 National League. I know that we have a couple, like Neshamony had a pretty good year last year, so I expect them to kind of be in that competitive area again. And as far as around the league, we haven't paid too much attention to what's going on out there, so we're just trying to make sure that we're getting a little bit better and having some individual success this year.
If I had to step up and make some picks, I would look at the Rocks first of all, especially South. Looks like they're returning most of their team after a great year last year. North, who's here today, they have some great individuals, a lot of talent. They can fill in around those guys. Springford is always a very balanced team with good athletes and a lot of talent in terms of wrestling. watch out for that team as well. And also in the pack, O&J Roberts, another quality team with great balance. So those are the teams I'd be looking for.
Downingtown East is going to be a big challenge. Henderson has some decent kids. Westchester East. I think Chestermont National is going to be very even this year. You could be a team that could win it, or you could be 0-5. It's going to be that tight this year, I think. So, it's pretty much a crapshoot. I do think that us, East, and Henderson are probably the top 3 teams, but by no means will there be any blowouts. Ruston is going to be tough. Oxford, I think, is going to have a really nice team this year. So I think they're going to give Ruston a run this year on the other side. Sun Valley's got some good guys. They had a nice middle school team last year. I assume some of those guys will be in the varsity lineup this year. So I think they're going to have a nice side too. So I don't think it's going to be the same old, guy that wins it all. It's going to be the same guy this year. It could be completely new for everybody. Council Rock South, I think it's going to be head and shoulders above everybody. Boyertown obviously is all this stuff. Springford. I think Springford only graduated a couple guys, so I expect them to be right there. And then it could be just about anybody else. There's a lot of teams. I think North Penn could be okay. I think they got some guys coming back. So, but I think Council Rock South, I think, will be the top dog, and it could be just about anybody else after that.
Like you said, it's a tough division. So, you're looking at the Boyertowns and the Springfords that are looking real tough, but unfortunately, we don't wrestle them this year to kind of compare. So, and we're hoping to be the best ourselves one day. So, I guess the old Council Rock South. You can't go wrong there. I mean, they've been dominant for a long time now, and they've always seemed to be up there. So.
I guess you always start with Council Rock South and Council Rock North. I think they're the perennials that they're going to be good. I understand O&J Roberts is going to be pretty good. We're going to see them in a tournament. Actually, our schedule is very tough this year. So we'll see O&J Roberts. Honestly, not sure of some of the other teams that are factoring in there. I assume Quakertown's going to have a decent team coming back. I think they lost one of their top guys, but I think they're going to have some good guys. So I would say North, South, and O&J Roberts. I don't know how Boyertown is this year, but they're sure they're going to be in there.
Of course, Wissahickon could be a top 10 team this year.
Well, if we get in the top 10, I'll be very happy.
Well, Glenn, there you have it. You had a lot of coaches. You heard a lot of the same programs over and over again. This is probably one of the, the parts where we'll have a lot of fun talking about our top 12 teams or so. But you hear the same names, the same programs. Your Council Rock South, I think, came out of every coach's mouth just about. O&J, Boyertown, Henderson from a few coaches, the Downingtowns, Neshaminy. So there's no secret of who the coaches and probably most of the fans realize who the top teams are going to be this year based upon what they have coming back. Springford, sorry, don't think I mentioned them. They're definitely going to be up there. So, it's a lot of usual suspects.
Yeah, and, Bradstone and Perry said it best, you can really see the good teams are going to be teams that have good programs and programs that have sustainability over the years. They're not just a fluke team that has talented kids. These are programs that are good consistently year in and year out. And, we have Mike here with all the stats. And if you look at the teams that have represented District 1 at states, the 3 or the 4 teams now that we have 4 teams in AAA, they're probably, it's the same handful of teams for about 6-7 years consistently, and then you add in those teams that have those really good talented teams that sneak in. And if I look back in the days, I know Pennsbury was one of those teams. So it kind of is easy for that top 4 or 5 teams for us to kind of rank. But after that, it gets interesting this year. So we're gonna have some good conversation, and I'm certainly the rankers can't get out there soon enough to rank these teams and these kids. So we're gonna give it our shot, and Mike's gonna put up our top 12, and we're gonna just kind of talk openly a bit about where we are, and I'll let you start since you started this whole thing, and I left you alone last year for the the end of the year show, so you can get us going.
I'll get going. You can see it there on the screen now. Rock South. Last year this time I think we were both all in on Rock North based upon what they had coming back, and a year later, it's a Council Rock, it's not the same, and Rock South, coming back with like 7 state qualifiers, I believe, 7 of their 8 guys coming back. Of course, Coach Stone Perry tried to downplay it a little bit, talking, saying, hey, we don't have any medalists coming back, but yeah, you still have 7 qualifiers coming back, and that means something. I have Springford coming back in as my number 2. Only because I just think they come back with a little bit. They have a little bit more firepower than O&J right now, and that's just where I'm at with those 2 teams, those top 2 teams. But I think after Rock South, you can kind of take about a handful of those teams, Springford, O&J, and in my opinion, the Chamonix, and even maybe Quakertown. If Quakertown is a little bit healthier, I think you can make an argument for them. And they could be interchangeable depending on the toss and the matchups. So Glenn, take us through your top 4.
All right. Well, again, Council Rock South returning 7 state qualifiers and a placer, and obviously with some young talent in the room and the next man up mentality. They're the clear number 1, I think, for most people across the district. For my number 2 and 3, this is definitely a toss up. I think it was the same for you. I got a chance to see O&J over the weekend, but I pretty much had my mind set on O&J all along coming into the preseason, that they were the number 2 team just based on their lineup alone in the middle, sprinkled in with some solid wrestlers down low and up top, and the flexibility of their lineup just gives the advantage with them over Springford. Springford's got some top guns. They did lose a lot of guys, as Coach Sizlove mentioned, but they'll be right in the mix in the pack. Those 2 teams for me are interchangeable. And then the big difference here, in the top 4 is Westchester Henderson for me. I have the Chamonix at 5, and you have the Chamonix at 4. So, Westchester Henderson garnered a lot of experience in the district duels last year, and I think they won a shot at the PIAA state team championships this year. That's their goal as a team, and they are loaded with talent, and they are rugged. If you listen to Coach Bigley, he gets that team prepared. So that's my top 4 right there. And then, like you said, let's talk about these other teams dropping below. Your 5, 6, 7, kind of look at that right there. I have, pretty much the same grouping that you do, just one team out of there. I have the Chamonix at 5, Quakertown at 6, and Boyertown at 7. And of course, you have Henderson down at 7. And these are teams that, if they match up, could go either way. Quakertown obviously lost some guys here early. I think, that affected me with putting them at 6. And I know that they're excited to be back in the Continental Conference in the SOL. The real question mark for me here is Boyertown. And, some people are probably going to be texting and tweeting and posting on the forum that, don't forget about Boyertown. Well, if you listen to all those coaches, no one forgot about Boyertown. So I have them right there in the 7 spot, and they're going to be in the mix all year long.
I'm going to back up for a second. We're going to talk a little Westchester Henderson. This weekend's a big weekend for Westchester Henderson, and from my opinion, big weekend for me in regards to Henderson. You hit the nail on the head with the amount of experience they have, the guys they have coming back, and what Coach Bigley has been able to accomplish there in his time at Henderson. But with them going to King of Mountain, this is big from my standpoint, because this is the toughest competition they'll probably see all year, and they need to go in there and show up well. And granted, I know it's an individual tournament, but they have some of the guys that go in there and can come out and definitely medal there. So for me, I have my tempered expectations for them. That's why I have them at 7, because I want to wait and see what happens with this weekend.
Yeah, and you mentioned the King of the Mountain tournament, and the Hatters. We went out there back in the day with very, very talented teams. State place winners on the roster with Gribshaw and Harkins, and that is a true test out of the gate, not only for individual tournament, but for where you rank in the team tournament scoring, because that is very indicative of what your team's going to be like, not only on the mat in a dual meet, but also in these, bigger tournaments. So I agree with you, but, they have some talent there with Fair, and Delaney. Is that right? Am I saying that right? So, those two guys down low alone, those guys are going to be point getters. They're going to post, big numbers, getting bonus points in dual meets. So that's why I kind of like them. And then you look at Henderson's lineup the rest of the way. They're just solid. They're going to, if they can go with anybody.
Well, that's a lofty, endorsement for a Chessmont team from Glenn Kaiser. We all know he's all Suburban 1 all the time. So, Rob, I hope you guys and the Warriors down there at Henderson appreciate, him showing you some love. You talked about Boyertown, and again, their name was in a lot of coaches' mouths in our preview in the video we just showed. And I'm sure Boyertown's probably hoping that they weren't in as many people's mouths as they were. I think maybe they'll be a little surprised as to how many coaches did indeed think that they're still a team to beat. And you, again, not to agree with you all the time because we just disagreed on Henderson, but they are well coached. They have a great feeder program. I've had the privilege, I guess, and sometimes the end up at the unfortunate wrong end of it, seeing their middle school programs wrestle, and they got a lot of talent, and it's not going anywhere. They don't have the superstar power they had from a few years back, but they still are solid. They're going to be a tough out because they fill a lineup and they're going to come out and they're going to scrap. I talked a little about Quakertown and Chamonix. I'm excited to see what they're going to be capable of within their league and in the district duels, because with those teams like kind of almost 2 through 7, 8, you can just kind of pick a name out of a hat. And like I said, the way the coin toss goes and who gets the matchups or makes the matchups is going to be a big deal. We saw Garnet Valley over the weekend, had a nice weekend. They have a few holes in their lineup, but they got some tough kids that are going to come out and scrap. They wrestled O&J tough. They beat Council Rock North. Downingtown West, I think, again, still has a lot of star power left on their team that can win them some matches. Going further, in Rock North, again, they have 4 state qualifiers come back. They have guys that have state medals to their name, and they're going to be looking to build upon that with Lucerne and Robinson. Sheehy's going to be tough. Hayes, they got guys that can go out and win matches for them. Again, they're going to a team that struggles to fill the lineup, but in a lot of their league matches, and they're not going to need the full lineup to win.
They're going to make it up with bonus points. Exactly.
And Coach Vivakwa said that, and he goes, I feel we're going to be a tough tournament team, and I obviously agree with him. Then I have Myth Acton. After that, again, they have the recipe for a team that can go out and win matches in a shootout because they got guys that can score bonus points. McNair, Moser, Ballack. Tony Ellis. So, they have guys and they're spread out enough that makes them a tough out. And then lastly, Downingtown East. And I think people are going to sleep on them a little bit. I just think that, Coach Horvath and Cummins have done just a great job with some of the guys they've had. And Lucas Ritchie's finally a senior, a guy who seems like he's been around forever, is still, lurking in that lineup, and he's going to, he's returning qualifier. He's one of those guys we talked about, hasn't got on the podium yet. But this, I'm hoping this is the year for him to get on the podium, because he's definitely a guy that's put the work in and has big wins over tough opponents. He just hasn't gotten over that hump yet. So I'm really hoping that he's one of those guys that gets out to Hershey this year and gets on the podium and brings home a medal to District 1.
Yeah, and kind of backing up too a little bit. You talked about those youth programs, and if you look at the top 10 and you even go down through the top 12, these teams have unbelievable midget programs. These youth programs, they're deep. They have a lot of wrestlers. They have great talent. They have talented coaches. They have offshoots of the talented kids with the tournament teams and the dual meet teams, wrestling in all these tournaments and going in the summer, getting on these AAU teams. So that is a strength of any program, having, these youth programs. So if you look down after Quakertown, and, I did want to mention Quakertown one more time, Quakertown, clearly will be the favorite in their league in the Continental. I think North Penn, they're going for their fourth title in a row there in that league, and North Penn will have to go through Quakertown in that league. And again, Downingtown West, they just came off, a pretty decent tournament at Cumberland Valley at the kickoff. They had some place winners out there with Max Hale. They had freshman Dom Fendora, who was 5th at 106. An up-and-coming freshman, and Chase Melnick was the runner-up out there to Kyle Schwartz from Northern York. And, of course, Hale lost to Jarrett Needhouse, and we know who he is from Cannon Mac. So, very talented team, and, again, solid. It'll come down if they can fill the lineup out to go with those bigger teams. Dropping down, we already talked about Garnet Valley. I'm really impressed with them. And Council Rock North, again, in the 10 spot. We both agreed on that. We didn't agree here on 11 and 12. Just a little worried about Methacton in that pack, in that big four of the pack. They're going to struggle, which is going to hurt their chances in the district duels. They're not really going to get an opportunity for a high seed unless they can pull some upsets against O&J or Boyertown or Springford. If they can't do that, they're going to be about in that spot. And then the big surprise here, probably for many, is seeing Wissahickon in my list. And it's not just because they're in the SOL American, where the Happer Horsham Hatters are. It's because they're loaded with talent and they have a full lineup. And if they can maintain their full lineup, I think they'll be right there in the top 12, come district dual time, maybe even the top 10, to get a decent seed and get a chance to advance in that first round. So it all comes down to what happens. Can they stay healthy? And can they wrestle well? I mean, and they're a young team. And young teams often falter in the big matches, and you heard Brian Fennell talk a little bit about that, senior captain for those Trojans. And it'll come down to senior leadership for them and how those young guys wrestle. And there's probably about 3 or 4 other teams. I mean, Mike doesn't let us go more than 12, but we could probably go 15, 20 deep here. And so we don't want to leave any of those teams out. We're going to talk a little bit more about those teams after we hear about some of the kids' expectations for their own outlooks, and then we probably can get a little bit more into that.
Well, I'll just add this. The only reason Glenn does have Wissahickon there because he had to squeeze in another Suburban 1 team, and he would look too much like a homer if he put Hatboro in there. So that's where it came from, and him and Stags are boys, so he had to make sure he threw him a bone. Now I'm just kidding, Stags. We're just having a little fun with that, but I always
I'm sure Stags is watching too.
Oh, he is. But like Glenn said, we're going to talk to some of the kids about their own personal outlook and what they need to do to be successful this season. And definitely stay tuned for this. A little surprise there at the end. The last wrestler we talked to, Paulo DeSanto from Plymouth Whitemarsh, had a little fun with him. We got to interview him earlier on in preseason.
Hopefully on top of the podium. That's my main goal. Last year, my season got ended pretty much with broken thumb at Regions. So this year I just want to stay healthy, hopefully come back and get as high as I can on the podium.
It's looking good. I'm more prepared than ever. I'm at the same weight as I was last year, so I'm comfortable there, and I'm even stronger. So I don't see why I can get to where I was last year and go way further. I'd say definitely overall strength. I've been wrestling for a long time, and I'd say really important is to get rounded strength so you don't get hurt. I feel like I might have had I was disproportionate in some of my muscles, and it really didn't lead to good outcomes health-wise last year.
Last year I went there and I'll be honest, I choked. I lost to a kid who he took like 6th out of the tournament. I took 3rd in, and I want to be on the top of the podium. That's the ultimate goal every year. I'm not going to be satisfied with a 3rd, a 4th, or a 2nd. I want to win. So whatever I have to do to win, I'm going to do.
My personal goals is very similar to the team's goals in the sense that this year I've dealt with injuries in the past, and I just wanted to emphasize this year of just getting as many team points as I can for the team, but also wrestling as hard as I can. And like in the past, I've been pretty stagnant and flat on my feet, and I've really want to emphasize like getting more takedowns, getting more pins, getting just overall just trying to build it up, like get myself as best prepared for the postseason as possible. Like
you said, you've had some injuries over the years, kind of affected your postseason performance. I mean, obviously, I would think states is always a goal for wrestlers. You know, and obviously with the new format this year, I mean, you're going to districts, and you know, really regionals is just one tournament away. How are you feeling about your chances in this new district? I think it's pretty wide open for you guys.
I think.
I recently, this past summer, I just went to the Navy SEALs wrestling camp for 14 days. I also went to summer seminar at the Naval Academy to prepare myself. I've been working on my neutral. I know my neutral is weak, and I feel like I need to improve there. But my coach, Mr. Smith, his son went to Penn State, and he's going to come with me and wrestle with me a couple of days of the week. So,
my ultimate goal is to make it to states. I know that may sound like a huge step from districts to states, but I know that I work very hard, and as strong and as smart and as hard as I work, anything I want I'm capable of doing. So states is definitely my goal. You know, as far as where I'm at during states, I might make the cut to 195, but as of right now, I'm starting off the season at 220. But yeah, my personal goal is to make it to states and obviously compete for a place there. But, knowing who's there, got a lot of bigger names, but I know what I'm against. So,
in the summer, I've been working a lot this whole off season, just improving my game, and every single day, move by move, just improving little bits at a time, and I think I'm starting to really put it together. And so for the postseason this year, I mean, obviously I'm trying to get to Hershey. That's the ultimate goal. Once you get there, do some damage up there.
So like from last year to this year, my work rate's gone way higher. I've been noticing that like I am able to wrestle against these tough opponents, and I can show that by doing better this year. I plan on starting off at 32 and then going down to 28 as soon as it's available right after Christmas.
Expectations are the same. Last year I said I was going to be a state champ. Didn't happen. 1 point short, sadly. But no, same expectations. Working the same as last year. So just working to be better as a wrestler and going off the mat. And just state champ. And undefeated is my goal this year.
I want to go to states and be a state qualifier, and also make it to team states like we did last year. So. I want to get stronger because we needed a heavyweight, so I needed to gain size and mass as quick as I could. It went pretty well. I gained 50 pounds in the off-season, so great.
Yeah, it didn't go my way. It wasn't my goal, so hoping to go 6 again later on the year, get on top of that podium like I should have last year. Like me personally, I'm going to go 13 in the beginning of the year. I just see how my weight works out. Hopefully go 8 towards the end, but dual season's all up to the coaches, how they match up with guys. I could wrestle 13, I could wrestle 6.
Obviously, the long-term goal is to become a state champ this year, but just having fun with the sport, trying to get as many points as possible in my matches, just like every single match, approaching it with the same mindset is a huge goal for me, and not getting like lost in like predictions and stuff like that. Without a doubt, it's motivated me more. Even just like little things over the summer, every shot I take, I'm trying to like finish it to the best of my ability and get all the little things down over the summer. In the Pennsylvania Regional Training Center, I was there basically the entire summer and trying to get ready. Went out to Fargo, did a couple other big tournaments just to get myself ready.
I'd like to definitely get back to Hershey. It's always on my mind. Like stepping off the mat, I don't want to end my season on a loss, so I want to get on that podium. I want to place a nod. Hopefully, whatever season brings, whatever I'll take what I can do. Going into the off season, I really wanted to work on my feet, and in the summer I tore my meniscus, so that kind of put a halt on it. But ever since then, ever since I've been cleared, I've been working on my feet. First takedown usually really sets the pace, sets the tone for the match, and that's what I wanted to focus on, getting takedowns early and grinding for the rest of the match.
Last chance, regionals would be amazing. Anything after that would be, regionals I want to get, anything after that would be just fun and like icing on the cake. I kept my weight down because last year I started at 170 and had a drop, which kind of like made me weak and like not getting all the energy I need. This year I'm already starting at 160, so that's going to be an advantage for me. Probably if it comes to it and I start losing weight, I could drop to 152, but probably the majority of the season is going to be 160.
Sophomore year, wrestling 152. I placed 6th at regionals. It's a match away from where I wanted to be, and then last year I suffered a concussion. Didn't get the chance to wrestle my postseason, so this year I'm looking to get it done out there at States. I mean, this could possibly be my last year wrestling. I don't really know where the future is going to take me with wrestling. I mean, definitely going to school, but I would like to complete, maybe just conquer some of my goals that I've wanted to do since I was a little kid. This year it's going to be different. I was up 52 sophomore year, last year 45. This year I'm looking to go down to 38, possibly 32. So
we look at ourselves just like a bunch of grinders. We know we lost a big class last year, but everybody in this room works hard, and we think we can make it to some place this year. If anything, it made me want to work harder for this year. I know I opened some eyes last year, but I don't let that get to me. Like, all I want to do is keep grinding and do the best I can every day. Chase is a great partner for me. He gets me better every day. He's been working all off season, and we're just going to push ourselves all season to do the best we can.
The biggest goal for me this year was I need to get bigger and stronger. Like last year at States, I felt like kids had a lot more horsepower on me. They able to like mow me down. So I just try to hit the weight room really hard this year and just get bigger and stronger for my senior year. Just goal is top 3.
Preseason's been good. Wrestling a lot of tournaments in the off season and then preseason. Preseason running, we've been doing a lot of conditioning, getting in shape, just getting ready, reviewing our basics and getting ready for the season. Get back to States, get on the podium, get some medals. Yeah, a lot of top bottom for me. I've been pretty good on my feet in the past, but I want to work a lot of top, get better on riding, and yeah, Coach G's really helped me a lot with that this year.
Well, I would like to be at the top of District 1, definitely, and States is the goal, so just getting there, working hard. It's definitely tough, you know. I don't know exactly what weights everyone's going, but Luke Lucerne, Shane Hansen, they're all right around my weight, so it's going to be a tough competition, but I got them. I can do it.
I'm definitely trying to place top 5 in state. That's absolutely the goal. Honestly, just changing little things, working in practice, every practice trying to get a little bit better. Hopefully, you know, I think that by the end of the season I'll be ready. See, unfortunately, I missed a good clip of my off season due to an injury, but as soon as I was able to get back on the mat, I was grinding, fixing everything that I had to fix from last year, working through a couple of positions that I had troubles with. So I think I'm pretty prepared. Saw a big improvement from this season to last season, working on positions that I would get stuck in maybe a year ago. Definitely stepping up against some tougher wrestlers than I was wrestling last year.
Personally, if I don't medal at States, then it's not where I want to be, but definitely make States and what happens there. Definitely a lot of my feet, that was probably my biggest struggle throughout high school so far. I feel like I'm pretty good on the mat. I haven't tried to wrestle the best competition I can. I went to Fargo, Disney Duel, so just try to get some good competition.
Well, at Wissahickon we set the bar high, so I'd like to make it to States, obviously get on the podium, try as hard as we can. I would like to get through regionals, get to States, and just let it go from there.
Yeah, a ton of lifting every day, stayed in the weight room, went down to the Penn Clinic they have over there in Philly. Tons of open mats at our school, Great Valley has open mats too, so I was there. Just trying to get whatever mat time I can. Well, I'd love to get on that podium over at Hershey, you know, state medals, everyone's goal, and I'm no exception, so.
Give us a story with the mullet.
All right, so
you gonna keep it all season?
Yeah, I'm rocking it all season. Trim it up. So I seen it a little bit. I was in a tournament at Disney, and this kid was rocking one. I was like, yeah, I'm doing that for the season. And here I am.
And here we go. I wish I could grow that mullet.
Paulo was one of the more fun in it guys I got to conversate with and interview in the preseason. Pretty charismatic guy, brimming with confidence, and I think partially comes from the magic of that mullet he's got going on. Looking forward to see where it ends up by postseason. He's got enough charisma to be a guy that can then pull it off. So, all right, Glenn, where are we at here? Well, where do you want to start?
This is a tremendous list of I believe we have like 50 returning guys. Is that accurate, Mike? Is my number right? So 50 guys that have experience at Hershey, and I believe we have 10 medalists or
10 AAA.
10
yes.
AAA. And we have a couple guys that have medaled in the past that are not on the, the returning list from 2017, 18, but they have a medal in the bag. So, I mean, you have to start with Hunter Kaka. Obviously, this guy's returning state champion, an opportunity to be a 3-time state champion for District 1, and there aren't that many of them. So this is a golden opportunity for him, literally, to own a weight class that he should own. He's an outstanding wrestler with unbelievable talent and technique, strength and explosion on the mat. I really see him being almost unstoppable. So, you got to start with him. And I know, there aren't that many big guys out there that can wrestle like him. So he's got a big advantage.
And, he's coming off an injury sustained in the summer out of Fargo. Not sure when his timetable for return is. Wishing him a speedy recovery and so he can come back for Coach Tommy Ellis and the Sun Valley Vanguards and, take his help take his team to the next level and see him back on that podium again in Hershey. It's always great. We see one of our own in District 1 reaching the pinnacle. Come off the year in which we had multiple champs. It was nice to see getting them back there, getting the region back there, getting some more notoriety. We go next, Killian Delaney from Westchester Henderson. We talked with Coach Rob Bigley. We talked about the Warriors. He's a guy, Delaney, that has lofty expectations, and he's got the confidence to back it up. And one thing I noticed about him, and again, I didn't see him wrestle in youth and middle school, but the one thing that comes up from a lot of people that have known him is that he's just a gamer. When the lights are on and his best has to be given, he finds a way to just put it out there, and so you can't ever count him out, despite what happens during the season. And he can get in those big tournaments like the state tournament. He's just going to game, and he's going to he's find his way and fight tooth and nail to get to where he wants to be.
Yeah, when you have a taste of that, that finals, and coming out as a runner-up, you're hungry when you return. I guess his biggest problem will be his weight. If he can handle those guys up a couple weight classes, and then if he comes back down, obviously he has the drive and the talent to get back there. But that'll be a tough road for him in AAA. I mean, that's a very talented weight class there, 120, 126 as it is every year. So, we'll see if he can get back there. But again, you're right. We collected some big medals last year, and I expect it again this year. And then Ryan Bullock, I mean, unfortunately, he goes to the AA. I think everybody wanted to see him at AAA and see what he could do. So now the opportunity is his for the taking in AA, and he's going to test his mettle there. And we'll see how that goes. And I think he has a chance of being the number one guy in AA at whatever weight he chooses.
Yeah, agreed. He's a guy, and we're going to talk about his college choice in a little bit. He's got that out of the way, so he's got minimal distractions as a senior, and he can focus on what's important about it, and that's competing and staying healthy and winning matches and working his way to the top of that podium at Hershey. Next, we'll talk about Dan Mancini, a guy I'm very familiar with. Had the privilege and the opportunity to coach for a year at the middle school level, and he was fourth at 52 or 145 last year. I'm sorry, 52 last year. Looks like he's going 52 again this year. He's another guy coming off an injury in the preseason, and is working his way back to get healthy and get cleared to wrestle. And it's evident he's got lofty expectations, and he's gonna be a guy that come March is gonna be favored to be on top of that podium in AAA 52.
Yeah, and I mean he had a great Super 32 tournament, I believe. Didn't he wrestle down in there? The Super 32?
No, he didn't make it down this year. He went to Fargo, had a great
Fargo, that's right. Yeah, I saw he did well somewhere nationally. So, yeah, I mean, Mancini, when he comes back, and I talked about that O&J lineup before, I mean, he kind of is the spark and the key there. Obviously he's looking for gold. And he's got a good opportunity. He's going to have to pick that weight class, that he feels he can ride through those early stages in Hershey. I mean, those first couple rounds and those quarterfinals have turned into, semifinal matches over the last couple of years with the 20-man bracket. But, yeah, I really like Mancini. Great drive. And, again, kind of a leader of that team, and that core kids have been wrestling together forever.
Yeah, guys all came through that Norchester program. And, he was one of those guys you talked about. big win in the second round at states over Kemmer from Hempfield, who was a favorite to win the state title. They did match up again for third and fourth, and Kemmer got the best of them there. But when it mattered, Mancini was there, and then he lost a tough match to Evanitsky, who was the eventual champ at that weight class. So you look at it, and he was on the cusp of doing big things last year, and his ceiling is like super high. Another guy from District 1 that's going big time Division I wrestling, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And I think the sky's the limit for these guys that we're talking about right now as far as what they could do this year and beyond.
Oh yeah. If Mike can go back there, and Kyle Waterman, spoke to him early this year at the scrimmage, the first scrimmage of the year, and he was disappointed with his 5th place finish last year, and he's going to be motivated by that. I think you're going to see him start out up at 113 and try and make the drop to 106, and he may very well own the weight class at 106 if he can get down there. I really like his style, and he's got a tough foe right across the backyard at Council Rock North. With Hauserman, another guy I expect to medal that's not on our medal list, but certainly Kyle Hauserman will be right there as well if he can get down to the same weight. But I expect big things from Waterman, and I know he expects big things from himself, and certainly those coaches Trapp, and Sill. They're going to really push their wrestler there to get into the finals, and I think that's where we'll see him in Hershey.
He was close to getting there last year. Going next on our list, Cam Robinson. He wasn't sneaking up on anyone last year, but had a big year as a sophomore, finishing 5th at 138. He's projected at 52 is what it says on track, but I think otherwise he'll probably be lower when come postseason. And he's just as far as his style goes, he's smothering. He's hard to score on. He stays in good position. He's a guy I like to watch. One of the nicest kids you want to meet as far as personable, and just enjoy everything about him. And we talking about North, Luke Lucerne, a guy who was a semifinalist as a freshman, didn't make the podium last year. Another guy is going to look at that from that Council Rock North team that's going to be on the podium come this March of 2019.
Yeah, and Cam's so explosive, great scorer, kind of scores from every position, definitely from his feet, but he loves, I saw him hit a standing Peterson the other day in the O&J match. That was just spectacular. I mean, the guy's always looking for back points and trying to score, so real exciting stuff from Cam. And then we dropped down to Tyler Williams, a senior now at Souderton, who was 6th last year at 132. And again, I think he's a guy that kind of missed a year of the postseason. And he came back into form last year and had an unbelievable run.
Making the semifinals.
Yeah, kind of a surprise for some, but certainly not me. I saw him wrestle since he was a little guy as well, and certainly for a Souderton team that's had some really good individual success lately, and he's really the leader of that team right now with a state medal in his pocket, and he's looking to climb the podium. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in that semifinals again and given a shot no matter what weight he is at.
Yeah, and speaking of Souderton, Tristan Boyd took his team out west to start the season off, got them out into District 7 territory for a tournament, got them some good exposure, some good competition out that way. Next on our list, Max Hale from Downingtown West. Kind of lost the mohawk he had last year during the postseason, but we just heard from him, and he talked about getting better and what he has to do each and every day to do that. And again, just a junior this year. Definitely, I envision him improving upon that 6th place finish from last year. That was it wasn't expected, but definitely wasn't a surprise at all.
Yeah, I love Max's open style. He likes to throw guys, feet to back, and it's great stuff. He's a goer. He's always looking to score. So wasn't a surprise for me. We wrestled them in the district duels last year in the first round, and he is just another explosive wrestler who likes to score big points. And those guys medal. Next up is Patrick O'Neill, senior from North Penn. And we're talking about upside of wrestlers. This guy is just upside all day long. He gets better and better every year that he wrestles. It seems that he upsets quality wrestlers day in and day out, and then you look back and you say it wasn't an upset. This guy's legit. He grabbed the medal last year in the 7th. He's looking to climb that podium this year, and I wouldn't be surprised again if this is another semifinalist for District 1. He's got to find a weight class. It's going to be, one of those things where he needs to find a weight class that suits him well. But again, all upside for O'Neill from North Penn.
Yeah, can't agree more. And another guys that's already made his college decision, and we'll talk about all those guys that list in a little bit. But he's coming up with one state medal in his to his name, and definitely look to be a guy that's going to kind of be with this group here carrying the torch for District 1 as we go and forge that through this season. North Penn does a great job of scheduling, getting them some good tournaments that's going to get them ready. Coach Schetz and Coach Freiling, Coach Backert, and I know I'm probably forgetting someone else on that staff, but they do a phenomenal job. And I'm looking forward to seeing again, North Penn right now, not a lot of chatter about them, but definitely a team with the talent they have can make some noise in their league and beyond. We look at next one on our list, Matt Vulak, younger brother of Ryan Vulak at Pope John Paul II. He was a guy that was, I don't know, in the high 90s at most. And you looked at him in a lot of matches when he went out against the bigger 6-pounders, and he looked just overpowered, but just great, solid technique. Some say, better technique than his brother. I'm hoping that'd be awesome to see. I'm hoping maybe he's grown. He's going to start off. Maybe at 113 and be back and forth. But if he's grown into that weight class, 106 pounds, truly grown into it, he's going to be dangerous, and especially moving down to AA. He was a guy that got fired in the postseason, and R106 last year was pretty rugged. You look at, you had McMonigal, Hauserman, Waterman, was it Lucier from Coatesville, yep. and Vulak got out of the regional tournament, got to states, and I believe it was just off the top of my head, just Waterman and him that medaled from District 1 when everything settled. They were the guys that made it through, and Vulak just had a great state tournament. So again, credit to him, just a freshman. He could become Pope John Paul's four-time state medalist.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
If things go, I mean, Pope John Paul's still infant stages of their wrestling program and their tradition, because they're not that old of a school. But Vulak can definitely put his stamp on this program. Him and his brother already have, to a point, in what Coach Tom Hans is doing there. But they're really gonna rack up some medals for that school's trophy case.
Yeah, and again, Vulak winning a medal as a freshman is impressive, and a chance to be a 4-time medalist, and more importantly, to really help District 1 AA, because we've really struggled in that category. Trying to go through that region that we have to go through to get to state. So he'll be tested. Mm-hmm. But he'll have opportunity to get back on the medal stand. Next up is Harry S. Truman's Gunnar Fuss, a real smart kid here, and he's going to reveal where he's going to, go to college in the video in a little bit. But got to talk about him. I mean, probably disappointed last year with an 8th place finish, but nonetheless, he's a very talented wrestler, strong, and smart, and he can go the full 6 minutes with just about anybody at any time, and he does like to mix it up. That's got him in trouble in the past, but I think that this year he's going to climb that podium. So definitely another medal for Fuss.
Last on our list, the return medalist Tyler Mosoff from Unionville. He's a guy, kind of funky style. He can hit that spladle from just about anywhere. And guys in District 1 know it's coming, and they down the stretch kind of did a good job of keeping him from hitting it. But when he gets out of the area and those that didn't know about it, before you know it, you're in it. And he's just a guy that opens it up. Very freewheeling style, and it was fun to watch. I'm hoping he adapts a little bit and puts some more tricks in his hat so that he can continue that success and upward swing. Still an underclassman. I'm sure Coach Taylor there at the end of the Unionville staff has worked with him to make sure that that indeed is happening. And there's our list, Glenn. A lot of promise. It's not all senior laden either. That's the great thing about it. It's not a lot of seniors on that list. It's a lot of underclassmen that are going to help to contribute to this medal count. And there was a lot of near misses last year, and guys are going to have opportunity to make that return trip. Already know what to expect now. They've been to Hershey one time, and then they're going to get the opportunity, hopefully, to go back again and get on the podium.
Yeah, and for District 1, we kind of got rid of that myth that the 5th place guy at regionals isn't worthy. We're starting to see more medals, And the reason we're seeing more medals is, you know, the battle here in District 1 is a long, you know, tough ride to get to Hershey. And this year we're going to shorten that up. We're going to talk about that a little bit with the new configuration. But I really think that we're going to increase our medal count again. You're going to see, you know, a lot of quality wrestlers from the Suburban 1 League. Just kidding. Across District 1 from all the leagues go up there and make a really good effort to bring medals back. And again, it just shows that the programs in the Southeast region, you know, don't just stay the same. They get better, not only at the top level, but those lower level teams with individual talent, they're going to go out and medal.
And you hit it before about the AA. You know, the Vulox going to AA, that helps bolster our AA contingent. And, you know, it's no mistake that how we've in District 1 struggled. But I think with the addition of the Vulox and PJP going there, and, you know, Faith Christian is not a team to sleep on anymore. They're gonna put some guys into the state tournament this year. Hopefully, they're gonna get them over the hump. Sebastian Corrales coming back. You know, our contingent from District 1 heading out to Hershey for the individual tournament at least will look a lot different.
Yes.
And you're gonna start to see those guys win matches. You know, Faith Christian tonight went down and wrestled Coatesville. You know, put it on them, beat them. Last I saw was 54-17 was the score. So you can kind of get the idea. Like, Faith Christian isn't messing around anymore. The climbers are building something special there. They have a wrestling facility out that they're utilizing now. The club, all these things are coming together, and they are building a very quality AA program. And, you know, it's helping. It's helping to usher in maybe some more AA schools that can help, you know, maybe start to be a better representative on a bigger stage, not just be the AAA schools carrying the torch on all times.
I agree. And face a team to do that right now. We had Lower Moreland a couple years ago that did that as a team, but you know, it looks like Faith Christian's going to be able to put a nice team together and maybe perform a little bit better than they did last year at the duels. I mean, that's got to be a goal there, is to get back and improve and maybe get a win. So that's good. I mean, there's some other guys we might want to talk about here. I know, you know, we talked about Neshaminy earlier. I really like Jackson Erb and Colton Jordan's chances, you know, up at states this year to medal. There's a couple other guys. I know Paolo DeSanto, despite his mullet, you know, has a great opportunity to medal as a big man with experience there at Hershey. You know, we're talking a little bit about this Suburban 1 League. You know, we had a tweet. I think Mike was going to put up a couple tweets, so we'll talk about a couple questions from the Suburban 1 League here, maybe answer some of their questions, and then get into some other questions here about individuals. You got that? All right.
Glenn, what are your thoughts on Suburban 1?
This must be from my boy Dylan Moore here at 106. Well, certainly Dylan, being a senior this year at PW at this weight class, he's a dynamic wrestler, can score a lot of points. You know, he's got that cradle, and he's already been ranked in the state in the top 20. I saw in the other guys' rankings. I never mentioned who they are, but Dylan, you got a good shot here on this weight class. Obviously, if Hauserman and Waterman come down, you know, you're going to have a real nice mix there, as well as some of these freshman guys, you know, that are coming in. But certainly in the SOL, you know, that's my top three right there at 106.
So we have from Richard Slow. Hey, Glenn and Joe, what kids in Suburban 1 American do you think have big years? And he went on to name a few of the different schools. You know, if I'm thinking off the top of my head, if I think about Abington, one guy that I was kind of high on and going into postseason that didn't necessarily have the regional tournament I thought he would was Jake Rose. I don't know, maybe he got, you know, caught up in the big tournament and maybe just got swallowed up a little bit by the pressure. I'm looking for him to rebound, have a better year this year, and be a state qualifier for that Abington Gallup and Ghost team. That's one guy I'm definitely looking forward to seeing. Glenn, you want to rattle off a guy or two?
Yeah, you know, Bruno Stolfi is back, you know, from Soderton, another guy up there that has an opportunity, one of these upper weights that's going to be able to do some damage when he gets to Hershey. So I kind of like his odds. You know, certainly in the American conference, you know, Mason Novak, and Davis Wheeler, two upper middleweights. Wheeler from Hatboro Horsham are guys that are going to do some damage this year because they're upperclassmen. They have the experience, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Novak and Wheeler make the trip to Hershey this year. Those are some surprise guys, and we already talked about DeSanto. I'm trying to think about some other guys. I'm not sure about Cheltenham and some of the other teams. Springfield is Double A, but certainly Plymouth Whitemarsh, Wissahickon, and Hatboro Horsham there should be able to get some guys through. And we talked to some of those Wissahickon kids earlier that have lofty goals. Certainly Matt Fritz is a guy in the lighter weight class that has an opportunity to get to Hershey this year and do some damage. And maybe Fennell can crack through as well, being a bigger guy. And Salmon put on some weight and some size this year. Another guy that has an opportunity at one of those weaker weight classes. I hate to say it, but that 170-pound weight class has been weak over the years. And he has an opportunity if he's there to kind of sneak through. So those would be my guys. I'm probably missing a couple guys. I know Logan Flynn is another upper weight from Hatboro Horsham, has an opportunity now that weight class at 195 is kind of cleared out a little bit. So he's another guy that has a chance at Hershey this year.
I would say, just to piggyback you, Brian Fennell is a guy that I'm looking to see finally put together a healthy season. A lot of potential. There's a lot of maybe hype around him coming in as a freshman, and he's just a solid guy, and just hasn't had good luck when it came to injuries. And I'm hoping right now, as he said and Coach Stagg said, they're all healthy now, and they'll see where everything lands for him coming this season as we go through. I got another question via text about Paul Pelham. More or less, is he the real deal? I believe so. I think he's gonna represent District 1 at Hershey this year, and I think at 220 he can wrestle, he can move, he's athletic, he's gonna be able to outmaneuver some of the guys at that weight class. I think when it's all said and done, he's gonna be a guy that's gonna be in that maybe 6 to 8 range on the podium there in Hershey. And
oh yeah, he's legit. I mean, he was in the finals last year against Chapman at the Wetzel Classic, and then in the postseason, I mean, Kaka, Chapman, we were pretty loaded. I mean, at that weight class, I mean, he's a big, strong kid. And again, these upper weights have cleared out with these seniors, and he's got a great opportunity. He's the real deal. If you're doubting him, you need to see him wrestling, and we don't get a chance to see those guys wrestle, from the Central League too much. But he is definitely the real deal, and I expect him to definitely medal this year out there. Who else you got? You got anyone else? Who are we missing? Zach Martin from the SOL, big things are expected from him. He got the states last year and did not place. And again, only as a sophomore. This is a young talent that for the Chamonix team is going to score some big bonus points for him. He's got another buddy in the room that he works out with, and certainly Colton Jordan and Jackson Erb that we mentioned before. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Zach Martin medal. Again, he's got to find a weight class. I think he put on some weight. And the coaches weren't too worried about that. They feel that he's going to find his weight class. And again, it's early. We're not going to know really until after Christmas when we see the 2-pound allowance come into play, which is kind of always my barometer for where guys are, because they like to get down for those Christmas tournaments. I don't know what your thoughts about that for some of these other guys up in the pack, but there's a host of guys in the pack that can medal.
Yeah, the pack is talent rich across the board. A lot of guys from a lot of teams have an opportunity. Like Glenn said, once we get that 2-pound allowance, you're going to see some lineups juggle a little bit, and some guys move here and there, or maybe some guys just have an easier time making weight. But all joking aside, the pack is going to be one of the leagues that is going to yield a lot of medals for District 1, barring everyone stays healthy and reaches that potential that they have. And so that's those are always outside factors that we have to account for.
And one of those other dynamics this year is the change in where some of these kids are going for districts. So that's going to be interesting. I mean, Dominic DeFalco from Quakertown is another guy that I see that can make a run up at Hershey as well. And I'm really interested to see, you know, how those district brackets kind of lay out. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But it's probably a good time to bring it into play now, because you are going to see some changes. I don't know if Mike can throw that slide up. I mean, I really screw up our agenda here, but it might just give us a little better feel for some of the folks that don't know what's going on. You know, this is a way to kind of maybe map out your road to Hershey with the league tournaments not being the qualifier. So sorry to jump ahead here, but you know, this is kind of helpful. If you take a quick peek here at the South section, you see some of the Suburban One League American teams kind of going in with the Central. You know, and that's a nice route for them. PW, Wissahickon, Upper Dublin. And looks like Cheltenham as well in there. So real good opportunity for those teams there. The district, you know, East section kind of stays the same. This is kind of what I call the old Bucksmont League with the SOL power. So that kind of stays intact. So for guys looking for an easy way out, through Council Rock and the Chamonix and North Penn and Penn Ridge and all this, it's not happening. And then, you know, you jump over to the north and you really see some strength there in the north now, you know, with some of those other teams like Sodderton going over and joining these PAC schools. It's going to be very interesting with Conestoga back up in there. So, you know, very interesting dynamic for some of these teams. And the West is pretty much the Chessmont. So kind of the Chessmont and the East stay the same for the most part, and then you see some big changes. So we really don't know what those matchups look like, but some of the coaches have talked earlier about banging, you know, each week, sometimes 3 weeks in a row, all the way through to regionals. You're not going to see that this year. You're going to see guys that may coast. You may have some guys coast through that district tournament and be ready to go at regionals, and that could be the game changer for these guys getting to states.
No, definitely. The new format, I'm definitely a fan of it. It eliminates a week. It's one less weigh-in. It's one less tournament that you know, for the, you know, you look at that PAC League tournament and those guys all go and banging heads, and then they got to go again the week later in the West in years past, and then, you know, they join in with the Central, and yeah, Central brought some talented kids to the table. But, you know, when more times than not, when the dust settled, it was a lot of PAC wrestlers going head to head again, whether for first or second or third and fourth. And then, you know, those same guys are going head to head again at some point in time in the regional tournament. And and a lot of those matches end up being like coin tosses and, you know, back and forth. And they're matches that prepare you for that, but they're also matches that maybe aren't needed and take a toll on you physically. So to eliminate a week of postseason, in my opinion, is a great move by our steering committee and to make that happen. I know not everyone's in favor of it. We're gonna hear from some coaches that aren't. But let's just, you know, for sake of arguing about it before it even happens, let's wait and see how it works. Maybe we go through and we don't like it. You know, there's always that case that it doesn't work out. But that North tournament, that East tournament, the South, the one that remains basically Chessmont. Those are gonna be some, you know, some knock them down, drag them out matches and weight classes in those tournaments that are really going to shape postseason in District 1. Yeah. And, you know, when you go to that larger 2-day tournament for regionals and you have the larger bracket, more guys, it's really going to make things interesting to see. You know, it's going to be vitally important that you place high there, because it's going to set you up for the following week.
Yeah, let's go back to some individuals here with some dark horses. You know, these aren't dark horses in my book, but at the same time, these are guys that are definitely ranked in the, you know, top 5 in the state in their weight classes. And they have the experience at Hershey, but you just don't know when they're going to break through. And you know, I look at this Council Rock South team, and 3 guys jump right out at me. You know, Shane Hansen Ashworth and Max Mendez and Eric Woloshin. I mean, these are guys that have tremendous experience through the state duels. Then they get to Hershey. These guys are bringing back some serious experience and great talent, and they've been there before. So, when you talk about dark horses to getting to states and placing at states, I mean, these aren't dark horses, but these are guys that could catch fire in the postseason and get into a state final. I mean, certainly Max Mendez and certainly Shane Hansen Ashworth, those are their goals. I mean, they're not going up there to grab a medal and stand on the podium. They're going there to grab gold. So those are guys that I really like, and we talked a little bit about Council Rock North, and I think we talked about Luke Luzerne a little bit. This is a guy that if he can get down to the right weight class, I think he's very dangerous with the talent that he has. We did talk about O'Neill a little bit. Some of these other guys, Evan Whiting, he wasn't in the lineup this week, wrestling at the Cumberland Valley Duels for Penn Ridge. So there's another guy that to me is kind of a dark horse guy that should be able to get the Hershey and medal. I mean, that's a guy that should medal.
A couple guys that I'm looking forward to see this year and I think have that same potential. Joey Milano from Springford had the misfortune of tearing his ACL in, between weeks, I believe between sectionals or league tournament and districts, or was either that or a week later. It was unfortunate for him. He was having a great freshman season. One of those guys from Springfield was talented freshman between him, Needles, and McGill. And I think Milano's poised to have more of a breakout year than he did last year. He kind of came on the scene at 160 pounds. Not easy to break in at that size as a freshman, but he's got loads of talent, a lot of upside. Another guy is going into his last go at this is Andrew DiBernardo from Westchester East. And he's a guy, again, it seems like he's been around forever, and I remember him as a freshman. I've said this before, freshman year when he was at regionals and getting on top of guys at, I think he was 152, and he was getting on top, running legs, cranking guys over, and I was waiting for him to make that level change and get to the podium, and it hasn't happened yet, but I'm really hoping that happens this year for him because these guys put the work in. He was a little nicked up last year. He was a regional runner-up, and then maybe this year is the year we finally gets over the hump. And another one that I'm looking to see is Sammy McMonigal, a guy that kind of got lost in the shuffle in that Henderson team with Ray Martin, Killian Delaney, the Fair brothers. He was kind of not necessarily the forgotten guy in that lineup, but he was a guy that was just going out hammering out wins. And, he kind of went unnoticed. And then he had a big win over Hauserman at regionals. He just went out and wrestled a great match. People said it was a big upset, but he was winning matches all year. And people just didn't notice who he was because there were so many other big guns in that weight class. Just in his own league, Keanu Manuel got more notoriety. McBride got a lot of notoriety at that weight class. So, he snuck up on people not because he had a bad freshman season. He snuck up on people because there was guys that are getting more ink than he was getting, and he was able to just kind of use that to his advantage and went out and qualifies for states as a freshman. So
yeah, and a couple other guys too. You're talking about dark horses. Brendan Sheffield from Oxford. There's a guy I wouldn't be surprised to see up there at Hershey. Trying to garner a medal, and Sam Blevins. A heavyweight there. Anytime you have those upper weights. Guys coming out of District 1, they're very dangerous. I mean, we have a great history of heavyweights at the state tournament. Logan Green, another guy from Penn Ridge that's been wrestling great the last 2 years. Chase Melnick from Downingtown West, I think we talked about him a little bit earlier. So they're sprinkled all over the place. Salenza, kind of coming back for that Westchester East team, another returning state qualifier. You talked about Lucier. I mean, there's just a group of guys sprinkled out throughout District 1 that we often forget about. We always kind of jump on those stars, and District 1 and the Southeast region, we kind of ride their coattails to Hershey. But, we're talking about 50 kids here that have been to Hershey, with experience that are returning. I mean, this is an unusual group. I mean, it's a large group of underclassmen and mixed in with a bunch of seniors. And again, I'm really excited. Again, Ethan Seeley, another guy from Great Valley, and all the Methacton guys. Moser and Keyway McNair and Tony Ellis. I mean, just guys everywhere.
Yeah. Tony Ellis, the guy that I was big on last year, came down from heavyweight, was a fairly big heavyweight earlier on in his career, and made his way down to a 220-pounder, was a state qualifier. And So I'm excited to see what his senior year has in store for him. And Glenn can make fun of me being a homer here. Antonio Petrocelli and another guy I'm really looking forward to see. Put a lot of work in. Went out to Fargo, spends a lot of time at the regional training center, and really does put that work in that's required to get on the podium. He qualified for states last year as a regional runner-up to Cam Robinson. And has done nothing but work towards getting to that podium and beyond. And I truly believe that this year as a junior, he's gonna definitely staying healthy, we'll be able to do that.
Yeah, I just mentioned that you mentioned Petrocelli. Now, I mean, Petrocelli this weekend against Bethlehem Liberty, he put a takedown clinic on getting a tech fall at the buzzer. Well, it wasn't even at the buzzer. I think it was like the 5-minute mark, 22-7. I mean, he was a takedown machine. Put on a clinic. It seems that he figures out a way to attack a leg, and then he just gets after it. And then when the kid starts stopping the single leg attack, boom, double. So, foot sweeps, you name it. So he's got everything on his feet, and he's got that college style. I mean, those O&J kids and the Pac kids, I mean, that's how they're taught to wrestle, that college style. Same with the Council Rocks. It's all about on your feet and what you can do on your feet.
So moving on and changing gears a little bit, we're going to talk about guys in Division or District 1 that are going to college. And it's one of the things we're trying to do this year. For future reference, any of you guys out there that want to make your announcement, you want to do it through us, we can arrange something where we can come out and film it, and we can have it announced for you, or you can come on and we can I don't know, figure something out, maybe Skype and do some kind of announcement thing to make it a little bit more celebration of our own, and getting that next level. Doesn't matter you're going Division 3, you're going Division 1, NAIA, whatever, junior college, trade, Williams trade, doesn't matter. Like, you want to make an announcement, we'll find a way to make it happen for you via social media and video if possible. And we'll go to great lengths to make that happen, because again, we want to promote the sport, we want to promote the individuals, we want to promote the teams, and do all we can to help out anyone that's looking to get their name out there. And so all you need to do is reach out via Twitter to Glenn, myself, or Mike, via email, put it on the forum. Like I said, we'll get back to you, and we will do all that we can to make that happen for you. A few of the guys we were able to catch up with this preseason and let them talk about their college decisions. So we're going to change gears right now, and Mike's going to throw the video up with those guys talking about their college decisions.
I would like to walk on to Naval Academy's wrestling team if I receive my nomination from a senator or a congressman. But I'm really excited about the opportunity to wrestle for the military, and I would love it.
Well, I already committed to Brown.
Ah, that's right.
So I knew from freshman year I wanted to go to an Ivy League school. So that caught out a lot of schools I was even looking at. So I came down to Princeton and Brown. And I visited both of them. I spent a lot of time there wrestling summer camps and at the RTC at Princeton. And last year before states, I committed to Brown because I just loved the atmosphere. Felt like it was a great fit, both academically and athletically for me. So
having that early decision kind of really helps with your preparation for wrestling instead of learning about all that.
I don't have to worry about SATs, making sure I score a certain score at this point. I already did all that work.
Good. Congratulations. That's great.
I applied early decision to Dartmouth and New Hampshire, so if they say yes, that's where I'll be going. Yeah, they don't have a varsity team, but I would be doing a club team, yeah.
Yes, definitely. D2, anything I can get a scholarship opportunity for. UPJ, University of Pitt's Johnstown, is definitely probably my top. They have my major and everything, so pretty solid team. Coach is pretty good, so.
Wilkes University would be the one for wrestling because Coach Kramer knows their head coach really well. And for football, Widener I want to play football at, or Shippensburg. Those are my two probably main choices to play football at.
Most likely 157. I'll wrestle there. And yeah, I love the campus. It's beautiful. Coach Kerry Regner's a great guy. The team's a bunch of nice kids, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, I've been talking a lot with the coach from Gettysburg. Muhlenberg shown a lot of interest. I talked briefly with the coach at Williams, Washington, Jefferson, Luther's. They sent me some letters. So, where I go is kind of contingent on how my senior season shakes out. But, if the offer's right, I'd love to take it to the next level.
So far, Worcester Polytechnic Institute reached out to me, and that's a school up in Massachusetts, and I've been in contact with the coach there, and I really like it because I want to major in mechanical engineering, and I also want to stick with wrestling as much as possible. And if I were to go somewhere else, I would want to do club or something. But this is one where I would be on like the team for D3.
Navy's kind of been a dream school of mine for a while, and I've known the coaches for a couple of years now. I've been trying to go down there a lot, so when I got offered the opportunity to verbal, I took it without a doubt. Their three-part mission, mentally, morally, and physically, was a huge draw for me because I know it's the best spot for me to like really become the best version of myself.
So there you have it. There are a few of the guys we were able to catch up with and talking about their plans for beyond high school. Should be noted that Mason Novak and Ethan Seeley were on that list of, they're going to be on the graphic, and they, for whatever reason, got cut off in the video. Ethan Seeley's looking to wrestle, undecided where he wants to go, and Mason Novak looks like he's going to go to Lycoming to wrestle. So, congrats to all those guys that, they were able to, get to where they want to go. And here you see the graphic up, and we have a good mix of guys going Division I and other places. But here are just our Division I guys. And we talked about Patrick O'Neill in Bloomsburg, Bruno Stolfi, Bloomsburg, and that's a program that's kind of,
they're up and coming.
I hope so. It's kind of, when the Pennsylvania schools are down, it's not good for college wrestling and for the area. So right now, Bloomsburg is they're suffering right now, and I don't know if it's from the coaching change from a while back or just bad recruiting. I don't know. I'm not the expert, but I do believe they getting guys like Stolfi and O'Neill in there. You're recruiting high character guys that are going to come in and they're going to work hard and they're going to give their all for the program. So I'm hoping they're in and on the ground level of the rebuild of that program.
Talk to Coach Tom Socker about Bloomsburg. He'll tell you the load down there. But, you look at Shane Hansen Ashworth going to Brown and Gunnar Fuss going to Columbia. I mean, these are smart kids. I'm really impressed. Tyler Williams to Drexel. These are good wrestling programs too. I mean, you go to a smart school and you wrestle for a great program. And Tyler Williams going to Drexel, join some local boys down there as well. And
Josh Stillings is there.
Stillings just went down. So that's just great stuff right there.
Drexel's a program that's definitely on the rise, in my opinion. Coach Matt Acevedo had an opportunity to do an interview with him, and they're benefiting from what I like to refer to as like a renaissance down in Philadelphia with that regional training center. And one of the things about Drexel, for those that aren't aware, that how they do their trimesters and how they have the co-op for their athletes is really neat. They have guys that are working while they're going to school in that trimester, that third part of their school year, and they're making money and they're building a resume in their field. So not only do they have a paying job, on top of the guys that are getting money for scholarship for wrestling, but they're also like putting money in their pocket, and they're also building that resume for when they get out and they get into their field. They have on-the-job experience, which a lot of schools, almost none, can boast at that. And one of the things that Coach Acevedo says, they get their guys on campus year-round, so they're all together year-round, because a lot of times that job that they have goes from that spring trimester into the summer and through the summer, so that they have to, and usually the jobs are in and around Philly, so they're there and they're working with the team and they get them, and it's a unique situation that if they have your major and you can make it work and they want you, that's definitely a school I would tell any kid to take a look at, just because the program's on the way up and the opportunities that they can provide for you academically, which they're, like I said, are unique, and not many other schools, if any, can boast what they can and give you a big time in college wrestling and those internships.
Yeah, it's all about opportunity. And you look at Max Mendez going to Franklin Marshall, Ryan Woolock to George Mason.
And I love what George Mason's doing right now. They're doing a great job recruiting Pennsylvania. They're they already got Bryce Reddington, local guy from Methacton. They're doing a good job of getting into Pennsylvania and making inroads. And I think Vulak's a guy at the next level is going to be really tough. His style right now, you mentioned college style. He's tough on his feet. He's tough to score on, and he can ride on top. So I think his style really translates to that next level, and that George Mason team is definitely on the way up.
Yeah, and of course Luzerne going there in 20 to the Naval Academy. That's his dream. He already committed to that. And Mancini going to Vatech. I know we had this conversation about this pipeline from District 1 to Vatech. I know you're going to talk a little bit about it, but you look at these schools, they're great opportunities to get to nationals as well. Through these divisions. It's not like it's the Big Ten, but there's opportunity to get to nationals. And I think when kids are looking at schools, they're looking at academics, they're looking at opportunity to get to the national tournament, and these are some fine selections for these kids. And hopefully we'll see them down the road at that national tournament.
Yeah, I was hoping Mancini would give my alma mater, West Virginia, a better look.
Went to the wrong Virginia school.
Yeah, well,
not even wearing my hat tonight.
Wrong state, Glenn. So, but
they're not together, West Virginia and
No,
Virginia.
contrary to popular belief, they are not. But Virginia Tech, great school nonetheless. Tony Roby and his staff doing a phenomenal job after Dresser and his guys left. They just picked up right where they left off. And really have, again, Virginia Tech, one of those top teams in the ACC, very well respected program. All these programs have different niches, different things they're good at, and you mentioned about Lucerne. That's huge. To get to Naval Academy is not easy. There are a lot of hoops you have to jump through, and it does help when you're recruited by one of their teams. However, you still have to meet the requirements, and Lucerne is he's a great kid. He's so down to earth, easy to talk to, mature, and it's no surprise that he's going to one of the academies and going to eventually serve our country. And having guys like that in that position that are going to graduate as commissioned officers into the Navy or Marines and serve our country, knowing people like that, it makes your sleep a little bit easier at night. So, moving on. Last but not least, we're going to talk about. Oh, I'm sorry. We got to go to Division 2 guys.
Jackson
My
Herb.
fault. We got to get ahead of it.
Jackson Herb. I don't think he mentioned that he was going to Millersville. He's so excited about the pairing for him to go there, and again, that kind of suits him well. I think not really good opportunity at the Division 2 level for Jackson to continue his wrestling, and obviously academically, I'm not really sure what his goals are, but we know that Millersville is a great teaching institution here in the state of Pennsylvania, and we talked about Novak going to Lycoming, another Division 3 school with a storied wrestling history, great program there. So both those guys, it looks like really good matches for them.
Yeah. All right, so now we're going to talk about some just few top incoming freshmen, and then we're going to talk finally about the postseason changes. But first, the top incoming freshmen, and Glenn and I are going to chat a little about these guys. There's only a few that we're really going to focus on right now, as far as who's ranked, and rankings brought to you by PIAA Power Wrestling. And our friend Jeff Upson and PIAA Power Wrestling. Jeff. He does a great job of those rankings.
He puts a lot of work in.
Yeah, unfortunately makes you pay for him, but that's for another time, another place, I guess.
Well, let's just talk quickly about these lightweights that we don't have on the list that I wanted to mention. You have Dominic Findora from Downingtown West and Cannon Hershey from Oxford. These are 106-pounders. They're not ranked, but certainly around here we want to talk about the incoming freshmen that you're going to notice out on the mats here in District 1. But as we get to the state level, these are guys, and obviously William Morrow from North Penn getting a top 50 ranking from PA Power Rankings is pretty impressive, and I'm sure in the room with Coach Freiling and certainly with O'Neill, with some Hershey experience, and this kid's got some PJW credentials and some other things that I don't pay attention to, but these are things that when you come up to the PIAA level that are important. It's experience, and there's big expectations. Now he had a tough go, I think, out of the gate here in the first week. He went 2-2, I think, in the dual meet tournament they were in. But it's good. It was against real tough competition, and as a freshman up at 132, I think it's 132, right? That's where he's projected. I'm really looking forward to see how this kid's going to do, and he's going to help this North Penn team that's lost a ton of kids to graduation, especially their upper weights that were state caliber kids last year. You want to talk about College Easy? We don't know if we're saying that right, Matt. I hope I'm saying that right.
I always apologize if we're not saying it correctly.
But certainly, College Easy, maybe that's how you say it. He's all the way up at 170 pounds, and he had a great tournament this past weekend at Cumberland Valley. And it was an amazing 11 wrestlers for Council Rock South placed at the Kickoff Classic, and he was right in there in the finals at this weight class and earned the silver medal. So big thing expected from him, and that's a guy that's probably flying under the radar for Council Rock South, but not anymore due to us.
Yeah. Or the fact he took second at the Cumberland Kickoff Classic.
Oh yeah, no one's going to pay attention to that.
Just a guy that kind of gets lost in the shuffle. All the talent that they return that you didn't really. Not a whole lot to focus on with the new guys coming in because there's so much to focus on with the guys that were already there.
And then we have Chase Barlow from Strathaven, and again, this guy definitely is another kind of upper lightweight or light middleweight, however you want to determine that, at 132. But again, these are weight classes that are difficult for freshmen to be thrown into. 132, 138, 145, very difficult. Just talk to Josh Stillings. He made that climb up, and he'll let you know that it is a grind. And the target's on your back as a freshman, unfortunately, for these guys. These guys come in with all this, PJW cred, and Fargo stuff, and you add all that up, and the upperclassmen want a piece of that. So these guys are going to have to really strap it on and get ready to go. I mean, the headgear has to be tight, and you got to go.
Hey, Max, just got your tweet, and I won't sleep on your mullet this year. In fact, I look forward to coming back. You have some competition this year from Paulo DeSanto, so maybe you two can link up and get a little competition going. We can track the mullets as the season goes on and have a little mullet check-in from time to time. So,
or you can go see a real barber and have hair like this, guys.
Yeah, or not have it. Moving on, finally, we'll get to the postseason restructuring, and this probably as we wind down here. We talked to all the coaches about it, and we asked their opinion, some good, some bad, some indifferent, waiting to see what it is. And Glenn and I talked about it a little bit. We got on a little bit before, and I've already gone on record and said I think it's a good thing, but I also want to wait and see. I might not feel the same way as I do now once we've gone through it. I don't see a way that I wouldn't, but I'm not closed-minded to the fact that it won't happen. If there's something about it I don't like, I'll be more than happy to come on here again and give my personal opinion as to whether or not it was a good thing or not for District 1. But I think just because, like I said, one less weigh-in, one less competition, one tournament, 3, maybe 4 less matches in that consecutive weekends. I think it's for the best for our wrestlers. Sometimes I feel like we get to Hershey and it shows that we've been competing and grinding, and maybe it'll be a bad thing. Maybe we'll have rust. I don't know. I'm just trying to be
that could happen.
Possible.
That could happen. The rust could happen. For those teams, but the teams that are going to the district duels and all the way through the state duels, I mean, they're adding those extra matches. I mean, that week off, and especially a kid that gets dinged up, either mid-season or near the end of the season, or even during those state duels and the district duels, this is a chance to recover. I've been a proponent of it since day one. It's been many, many years on the committee that we were pushing for this. And this is just a great time to do it with the leagues kind of removed as that, first postseason qualifier. It really opened the door up for these super sections or super districts, whatever you want to call them. And I think for a wrestling fan, going out on the weekend to one of these 4 sites, you're going to see some really, really good wrestling at all the sites. And these guys are all going to be regional qualifiers coming out to create this 16-man bracket at regionals, which is just going to be phenomenal. And it kind of, I think back about that 16-man bracket, and I think about when we had District 12 coming in initially with the Catholic and the public leagues from the city, and then we were like panicking about the 16-man bracket. Well, I think we're pretty comfortable with this 16-man bracket. And so I think Mike's going to roll a little video here of some of the coaches' thoughts, and then we'll kind of give our last final comments on our preview show and let you guys go to bed.
I think I'm looking forward to the change, and I say I think because it's you have that week off. The league tournaments, I mean, some of our guys were getting one match, I should say, because of all the forfeits. Some weight classes for a league tournament had 4 or 5 kids in it. So, why wake up, make weight for 1 or 2 matches and possibly injury and all those other things. I think this is a good change for now. If all our schools start fielding teams again and we have full brackets for leagues, I think that's when we need to take a look at it again. But right now, with the way numbers are, I think this is the right move.
Yeah, so the District 1 structure, I think in the long run will really help some of our better kids who aren't getting banged up wrestling each other over and over and over again. It's certainly going to be new for us because we're with a lot of the Pac-10 teams, and we're looking forward to wrestling some of the best teams and seeing how we can do with that.
I think I'd be more on board with it if we had all 21 teams or 20, 21, right?
Yeah,
if we had all 21 teams in the SOL participating in the same tournament at D1 East, I think it's a tougher route for a team like Souderton to go to the north. It's an easier route for half of the American Conference to go down to the south. I think it's an easier way to get out. Maybe there's one state qualifier there from PW in the entire tournament at their district. So our district's definitely loaded for bear. The D1 East, there's a lot of tough teams. There's a lot of programs that have storied history of success. There's just too many strong teams. Every team's strong. From North Penn to your CBs to your Council Rocks to William Tennant. I mean, they have great individual wrestlers that can, spoil your season when they have those phenoms on their team. So it definitely makes for a tougher tournament. I think our challenge is going to be advancing wrestlers to the second day of the tournament. For some of our kids, they might not realize it's a 2-day tournament.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough Friday. Yeah, you're right.
I love it because we went. Our district was pretty tough. We went Centrals right to Pac-10. This time we switched it up a little bit, so we're coming back down towards Upper Dublin and Upper Marion, Wissahickon. It's going to be nice. It's going to be refreshing to change it up and wrestle new teams. That'll be worth it.
I'm really excited. Listen, it's the first year. Nothing's going to be perfect in year one, so I'm sure we might have to, look at it. The committee might need to look at it, make some tweaks. But overall, it's very, very exciting for the sport. Every kid starts out at the district tournament. They get that feel right off the bat. And I think that's positive for our sport. We got a lot of teams, more fans. I just think it's going to be healthy. And also, one of the big points that we argued for having the district tournament was gives our guys a week off, throughout the district.
Yep.
And especially those teams that go to state duels, they actually, go to state duels and they had to wrestle the next week in sectionals. They're wrestling the best of the best, and they have no time to recover, which, again, I get it. There's two sides to that, too.
Sure.
I don't feel bad for those teams. But I just think it's really healthy for our kids. I think it's healthy for the sport. Could there be some changes along the way as we move forward? Absolutely. But I definitely think it was the right step forward. I wish it would have happened sooner. And now the other good thing
you said
is
20 years ago.
Yeah, right. And that was one of the things I said when I first started coaching. Why we do this sectional league / sectional tournament. I think it's great as a standalone event. I think it's good for both JV and varsity guys. But as part of a postseason, your postseason trail, I think it's past. It's time's up.
Yeah, and we're
especially when you got teams that you don't have full teams, or you got brackets of 3 and 4 guys. What good is that doing?
And we're now consistent with the other districts around the state. And
exactly.
I think that's for me and the committee. I know it was important for us to move it to that point. So
we're wrestling 4 weeks of postseason, and everybody else is wrestling 3.
Yep.
So.
No, I voted against this new format. I was against it. I am a big supporter of the league tournament at the end of the year in sectionals. I thought it was great. As far as our league, I'm in a league right now where there's a possibility I'm not going to ever see some of the kids on the other side at anywhere. Some of them are in districts, and it's a shame. You think back to Springford and Pottstown and Springford and Upper Perk and all those rivalries through the years. They're in a different division, and we may not even see them the entire year, which I think is a shame.
For us, it's going to work out real well. We're fortunate to be put in the group we're in. I think we get a good opportunity to compete at a high level there, as opposed to being thrown in with some of the other local schools that are going out to wrestle with Norristown and some of the other schools.
I was kind of
50-50. It doesn't really hurt me, doesn't really help me. I like the Central League tournament as a qualifier, but I also like that we just bring everybody to districts. It's going to be a good experience for all 14 of my varsity wrestlers.
I mean, I think there's pros and cons to it, but at the same time, it doesn't change our goals at the end of the year. We still have to compete at that district tournament, which is realistically our pack league and 3 other teams. So it doesn't change much for us as an individual team, but you know, it's kind of nice having that weekend off to use to prepare for the following weekend. So I mean, there's pros and cons to it. You know, I would like the kids to have a individual pack championship, but at the same time, we just got to go through the postseason.
I like it. I was on the subcommittee through the steering committee that worked on it, and you know, the Southeast region was the last region to have 3 weeks of qualifying before the state tournament. So I think it was kind of a smart move for us to eliminate one round of the postseason. And I think you know, those super districts are going to be intense. It was, you know, it was not overly challenging to get out of your league. And then you got the districts, but you know, you can't have an off weekend in the super district, or you're going to have a short postseason.
No, I like it. I actually like it a lot. I think the district tournament is going to be a little bit more exciting. It's going to give our guys one more week of rest, so they don't have to bang heads with the same guy. Sometimes that happens a lot, like 3 weeks in a row. I'm curious to see how it's going to play out. I'm excited for the new format. I think that district tournament is going to be exciting.
Well, I've been involved, you know, with the District 1 for a while, and it's been, you know, something that's been out there for a while. I think initially I might have been a little against it because I did like the league format and making sure that all the guys get to participate in leagues and place in leagues, because not everybody's going to get the regionals and states. But as time went on and more dialogue went on it, and the fact that they kept the league tournament in place for those people who may not be advancing to regionals and have those other goals to get to states, it helps those kids, you know, maybe place in the league second or third and still have something to fall back on and look forward to. If it was just going straight to super districts, I think near the end of the year, the kids knowing that they're not going to advance might not be putting full effort. Now we have, you know, something to look forward to. We want to win that tournament as well. I know that
that's going to help with the team
points.
Title, yeah.
So I'm now full on board. It took me a little while. Gradually got to that point, but I think it's going to be good. The district we're in, quite frankly, you know, I think we can fare well there. So I'm looking forward to that and advancing as many people to regionals as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like it. I coached in the Lehigh Valley for a year, so we had the 3 weeks up there, and it's kind of nice. 4 weeks is kind of a grind for these kids, and I think just getting more competition, you know, making it a better tournament, so you're going to have more teams. It's going to make it overall pretty good.
Well, I guess you can call this like the guinea pig year, the experimental year. It will definitely be different. I think you're going to kind of lose a little bit of that, how do I say, I guess for like the first years to kind of look forward to hopefully get to districts, you're going to kind of lose a little bit of that hope because now you're just district regionals. So you're already thrown right into the ringer, and you don't get to celebrate as much for those guys who maybe it's their first, second, third year. And they haven't been wrestling all their life. So I think you're kind of losing that, but then at the same time, you're getting right into it. You're getting right into the thick of things, and you're going, which is nice too. So I think you kind of have a nice balance, I guess you can say, but we'll see how it works out.
I like it. I think it's a good structure for us. I'm hoping that it turns out well for Boyertown, but also just for District 1 in postseason structure as a whole.
I'm a big fan of the new format. I like eliminating 1 week of the postseason. I think that'll give a lot of our kids some time to heal up, to polish up, get really ready for the postseason. I also like the fact that you can keep your section or your league tournament. You just need to place it elsewhere in your schedule. I know that's what we're doing in the Chesmont. We're keeping our league tournament. We're just putting it in December. So I'm a big fan. I think it shortens up our postseason a little bit, makes it a little bit less of a grind, and hopefully makes our athletes a little healthier, a little more sound for the postseason.
I don't know exactly how I feel. I think I want to see how this year is going to play out. I know our road as far as getting to regionals, I don't want to say it's going to be easier, but I think it's going to be, you know, we don't have to run through the Pac-10, which everybody is well aware of. It's a, you know, it's a minefield, but go from there.
I like how competitive it'll be. Leagues have gotten to be a little bit less competitive. Where you know we're sitting there the night before looking at all you need to do is win 2 matches to get out, and it's not necessarily, sometimes there's forfeits and things like that. So I like how competitive it'll be. The challenge for us has always been getting our kids ready to wrestle in that postseason tournament by putting quality tournaments in the schedule before that. So it'll be a little difficult. Like we've seen some of our guys in the past come through, and they have a lot of wins compiled. They're pretty good technically, and then they get into that district tournament, and then the wheels kind of come off. So it'll be a big challenge for us to get prepared for that. But I think overall, it's probably better for the sport to have it be that competitive. Yeah, it wrestles a lot like the regional tournament. You know?
It does.
We've been up there, and we've had a bad first night with a couple guys, and then you know how long that day can be. It becomes a test of will at that point. You know, you can come back, and if you believe you can win, you can get through that second day.
At first, I was a little hesitant, just because that's always how I knew it to be, 4-week postseason. But I think it's positive for the kids. One less week. 4-week postseason is a grind. You see the same kids over and over. So I think 3 weeks should be good. We're still going to have our Central League tournament, but that week off, I think, will benefit the kids and those kids making it to Hershey.
There you have it. Some mixed reviews about it. I think everyone, for the most part, is excited from what we gathered from the coaches that were willing to answer the question. I think it's good. And again, my opinion might change, but right now I'm in the camp that says this is good for District 1 wrestling and the Southeast region.
I'm in. I have nothing more to say. It's the first year. I think it's a good change. A lot of people don't like change, but this is a good change. This change had a lot of meaning and a lot of reason for change. So, Mike was kind of really key in some of these graphics and the maps and drawing the lines, because if you let wrestling coaches do this, we'd be still in the war room drawing the lines. And there are some unhappy campers. There's a couple schools that aren't happy about being moved. If you see that line, though, there is a line directly down, separating what I would call the Old North and the South. And you can pretty much see it with the yellow extending up through the red, and then that green line. And the green line was the biggie for Solderton and who else up there got moved over, Mike? It was... Norristown kind of falls on that border, but really it was just Solderton coming out from the old Bucksmont. So it's kind of, there were only a couple schools that were affected over there, and I think the South section is the biggest changes with the South. The American teams going there from the SOL. But other than that, like I said, I think you see the Chessmont and District 1 East, that's really the same thing. So, I don't know what the comments are from the PAC guys. They see it as their league tournament, and I get that, with Solderton and I think Conestoga's up there. Yeah. So, but go back to the line, because I think people have to understand this map. This was I think our hardest sell over the years in making this happen. So, if you're talking about travel, we kind of took care of some of those problems. That was kind of, a big factor in some of this. Number two, you talk about strength, but you really can't talk about strength of power in wrestling or any other sport, because the Southeastern region is what it is. You have it for basketball and football. You can, draw a line around the basketball schools, and you can probably draw a line around those football schools that are going to be there. So, I don't want to really hear about everyone arguing about travel. We went to Oxford, for regionals, and they've come up to Council Rock, South for regional. The travel isn't a big deal, but the map itself makes sense. It does eliminate some travel. It puts some of those old teams together. They remain intact, which I think is really, really important. And unfortunately, there's a couple teams that got moved due to geography, due to that, that numbers game, and they're out of their league. Mm-hmm. But if you're in a postseason tournament, I don't want to be wrestling the same guy over and over again in my league, in a league tournament and then a district tournament.
They did the best they could.
I think I said I was in. I just went off.
They did I think they did a phenomenal job with this. If I'm pointing a finger at one school that maybe lost out on this, I look to Conestoga.
Yep.
They got pulled into that north section, and that's going to be a meat grinder for them. Satterton, it was either going to be in the north or be in the east. And again, pick your, if you get told them to choose that, they might just put both of them in a hat and pick it out, trying to pick the easier of the two tournaments. So I think Conestoga really, getting pulled out of that west section. I'm sorry, the south section where they would have been with their league in the Central League would have been way probably more in their wheelhouse, and they lose out. But again, it's going to force them to adapt and become better. And, it's you try and you adapt and move on, or you just stay where you're at.
Right.
And I think Coach Tom Elliker and the Pioneers there at Conestoga are going to rise to the challenge, and it's going to take, maybe if this stays this format, it's going to take them a year or two, but that'll be a good eye-opener for them to see where they need to be, a good measuring stick. If you
Well, they were going up there with the pack. I mean, that was where
they were coming up
their
for
district.
The West.
So, I don't think Conestoga is as effective as maybe some of the other schools that were kind of just totally, moved out, and they're kind of all alone. Conestoga is alone there with that.
Yeah.
But if you notice the numbers, if you can put that slide back up with the teams, you can see the numbers in the east and the south are a little bit more, and the north is the least. So there is some numbers games here too, and everyone looks at it differently. I always looked at the map. I was one of these map guys. Then I went to the league. Then I forgot about numbers, because if you just start throwing guys here and throwing there, then your numbers get out of whack. So I think we did a really good job. I don't think there's a lot of disparity. I think having the four, guys coming out of each section, it allows for a lot of wrestlers to advance. I mean, we have 4 more guys advancing to the regional, and that really is important to me, and certainly to the coaches.
All right, so changing, we're going to talk about new coaches.
We're getting late.
And we're going to try and get done here. New coaches, new rules, and we're going to close up shop for this year's preview. New coaches this year, we got 5 of them in District 1. Haverford, Joe Jones, new head coach there. Lower Moreland, John Sparrow. Pencrest, former Pencrest wrestler Joe Gartland, state runner-up. And he lost to who, Glenn, in the state finals?
Oh, I don't know. Don't test me on my history.
Come on. He was a 4-timer. They lost to. Think about it. Penridge, JT Lewis is the new head coach. We talked to JT in the.
Can't be Gary Coolad.
No, he's way. Joe Garland's way too young for that. JT Lewis, we talked a little bit earlier, taking over. He was on the staff with RP Norley, and saw how that program was run for several years, and I feel like he knows what it takes to continue on the tradition and that.
JT's no stranger to Penridge's room. I think that's a good fit for them, and Wayne Stinson's from Ryder. I mean, this guy brings some new stuff to Pennsbury. He's a teacher over at Council Rock North, so he's going to get his feet get his feet wet real quick here in that league. But he's going to have some help from Coach Favacco, I'm sure, Wayne.
All right, and closing up shop. New rules for this season. I'm going to revert to Glenn on this one. Glenn is our rules expert.
Yeah, so not a lot of changes. I mean, the biggest rule change is, I'm calling it the CACA rule. If you're getting pinned out of bounds and your knee comes off or any other supporting point, the toe is now considered part of the foot, which the foot is a supporting point. So you're going to see that fall occur out of bounds with just about anything in bounds. The other piece is you can have 2 feet in of both wrestlers is fine. 2 feet of any wrestler is fine. So you're going to have to take a look at the rule book and see these placements of having the feet in and out for the wrestling. But you're going to see a lot more takedowns called as soon as the wrestler's taken down to their buttocks or to their hip, cracking the hip down. And then I think you're going to see the officials start to use a little bit more leeway in blowing that out of bounds takedown as 2. They're going to allow that continuation, but we don't have the mat size at every gym to do that. So we haven't really converted to that full.
Especially at district duels.
Yeah, especially at district duels when there's like the 2 lines are together. But you have to take a look at the rules on the feet being in. But more important, I think the big rule here is the rule with the out of bounds with the fall, that the supporting points are any supporting points of the wrestler that is in control. In fact, any wrestler. So the wrestler doing the pinning could be out, and as long as the wrestler getting pinned is in. So it's just something you got to take a look in the rule book. I don't think you're going to see anything crazy this year. So just take a quick look at the rule book on the NFHS 2018-19 rule book, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Glenn, anything else for the good of the cause?
No, I just want to thank Mike and you for having me back again, and thank all the wrestling fans in District 1. We've gotten great support, and we're going to keep bringing it to you all year long. So hopefully you'll catch some good matches and some great commentary from the two guys sitting here.
And if you want to watch again, this will be archived so that you can go on our YouTube page and check it out, along with all of our other videos that are up there and archived from the onset of when we've now been doing this for several years. So please take advantage of those. Any questions you have, please send them to, again, post in the forum, email at PIAWrestling.com, tweet us at PA_wrestling.com, or you can tweet me directly at Coach YB. That is with 2 E's on the end. With one was already taken. So that's that. We were a little long-winded today, but we brought you a lot of information. That was one of the things we really tried to get to as many. We got to over half the programs, I believe, in AAA were represented tonight, and some AA. So it was a lot of information, a lot of video, but these are we're doing our best to cover it. And if you have feedback about it, too long, too short, what we could have done differently, we're always trying to evolve, trying to adapt, trying to become better, and do right by the sport and give the best coverage possible. So from Glenn and I, I'm going to speak for both of us. We'll do whatever whatever the masses want, and go out and cover it. And like I said to you wrestlers out there that want to publicize your signing, does not matter where you're going to school. If you want it out there, we will find a way to get it out for you, whether via Twitter, any other form of social media. We'll come out and film, we'll Skype, we'll do something. We'll figure out a way to get your name out there and get you the notoriety that you deserve. All right, Glenn, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, hey, this is Joe Youngblood and
Glenn Kaiser.
Hey, we'll see you this year, throughout the season somewhere. We'll be releasing sometime in the next few days where we'll be at next Wednesday. We'll not be at a match tomorrow. Mike needs some time to decompress after all the work he did to prepare us for tonight. And so, we'll start fresh with a new match of the week next week, and we'll take a look at the schedule. And if you have any suggestions, again, get to the forum, Twitter, Facebook, and throw out some suggestions. Take care and have a great night.